Surface, Mind and Business Virtual Forum. Welcome. You'll see in the title that the mind is the big, bold world. We believe that to really maximize success, the business success, as we'll see in the 5 keys of surface success, it takes a preparation of mindset. And we're so excited to have the balance today of identifying our strength of mindset and the skills necessary to grow. Welcome. My name is Wayne Grundom, the founder of Surface. From the East Coast to the West Coast, from Walkersville, Maryland, Cary, North Carolina groups joining us, Tacoma, Washington, Edmonton, Alberta up there with Kevin and the Estelle Hair Design Academy. Oh my goodness, to everywhere in between. Welcome. It is my pleasure on the journey today to be bringing with us, first of all, welcome Sean Carlson. And Sean is our global ambassador. Look at that smiling face there. And also our national director, Lindsay Curtis. Guys, it is such an absolutely honor to have you here today. Two of my dearest friends have the hugest hearts in the industry to be able to help and support people grow. We have such an exciting day today. And to kick things off, Sean, how would you like to share with them? What's the number one thing that excites you about what we're going to share in these next 3 hours?
Oh, Wayne, there's so much excellent information that we're going to be sharing, inspiring, helping everybody really settle in to a great learning process today. And you know what I'm most excited about? There's so many things. Obviously, Wayne, you know, and many of our friends, how much I love the 5 keys to success. But today in particular, I'm really excited about the 4 core traits of highly successful people and being able to really dive into that and, dissect it and understand what parts of those I can take action on today, one at a time. And I'm so thankful that we get to dig into that with our friends from all over the place.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Lindsay, what excites you the most?
Well, friends, thank you for having us today. And Wayne, thank you for having me as a guest speaker. I always look at this in 2 ways as we do this Mind and Business at the end of the year. We're 47 days away from the new year, but we have 47 days to finish strong. So my takeaway from today is emotional intelligence. And for us to be aware, no matter if you've been to this program before, this may be your first time hearing it. I want everybody to think of, how can I expand my own awareness to control my own emotions so then I can affect my team and how I am portraying that to finish strong and to start strong. It's going to be a great end of the year.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. And, as we move forwards, I want to bring everybody's attention right off the top to some of the information that we shared with you already. If you've printed these notes out, great. Otherwise, have a pen and a paper because I know you're going to want to take some notes on it. And this is just a guide. Notice what I put on that guide there. You've got your obstacle, your opportunity for advancement on there. So we're going to dig into some stories for success as well. The other thing that I was able to share with you is I gave you an opportunity sheet. And the opportunity sheet we're going in today, and that's kind of like the wish list. It's like, man, if my book was full every day, what would it look like? And then what Sean was talking about on the 4 core traits. So we've given you some support materials to work through. If you've got them there with your pen, that's absolutely amazing. And I think it's time there, let me just back one up here, to identify the day ahead of us. Number 1 will be coaching for performance. It's helped me live my life since the early 1990s. Awareness, responsibility, and process. A huge part of our mindset. The more we know about ourselves, the more we can take responsibility. Our 4 core traits and our 4 constants. Then at approximately 11:15, we're going to give you just a little bit of a break to go ahead on. But first of all, did you know how big of a miracle you are? Man, did I have an aha when I read this a few weeks ago. Scientists say that the chances of you, me, even have being born are 1 in 400 trillion. Think of it for a second. What were the chances in the world of your parents even meeting? And then you being conceived. That spectacular DNA that made you, you. What were the chances of that one egg, that one sperm? Whoa! The reason that I share that is many times in life we get into a mode and we identify what I would call is a average. And I want you to know that you are so far from average, and to cease the mindset and the information that we're going to have in front of us and really grasp it and grow to really appreciate who you are and what kind of obstacles. Think about that for a second. The students that are out there, what obstacles did you have to go through to be able to have the finances to go to beauty college? It's kind of wild. I did the math this morning. I did my first haircut 51 years ago. My wife Deborah and I have been salon owners for 45 years. And as I look back, I truly identify that the obstacles that a person goes through truly make them stronger. So think about this for a second. You're driving down the road, all of a sudden, hands up, going for a drive, boom, I come around the corner and there's this huge boulder right there, obstacle. When you signed on the program, what was one of the thoughts you had? Because there had to be a thought in your little voice. And how many of you believe you have a little voice inside your head? Put up your hand. You do. I know you do. I do. We all got committees. How many of you wanted to go, gee whiz, if I could only do better in my service bookings, my rebookings, my retail, if I could only do X, Y, Z. There's a reason why you joined us today. And that was to be better at whatever your craft is. We have many salon business partners, consultants joining us today, salon management joining us today, ownership joining us today. What's the one thing you wanted to be better at? Because somewhere in one of our little voices, it puts that obstacle. In life, we tend to say, okay, we can't do this because of. I'm here to share with you how important it is to be able to have the mindset of getting out of your way and letting yourself go through. So when the person drives around the corner and they see this big boulder, oh my goodness, mindset number one, somebody better do something about that. Somebody's got to move that rock because I got to get where I'm going. And that individual is looking for someone in life to do something for them. It's not their fault. How could this ever happen to me? The other mindset might be, oh, gee whiz, okay, now, if I back up, I saw a road a little bit behind me. If I could get on that road, work my way around it, I can get around this. Maybe it's beautiful. Maybe it's even going to be a shorter route. And then you look behind you and there's somebody right on your bumper. You can't turn around. Mindsets, how's that guy going to turn around? Well, or the other mindset is, if I go talk to him and share with him the reason why, if everybody backs up a couple inches, we can find a better way. Wow. You see, when we take a look at whatever you may think is an obstacle for maximizing your growth, there is an answer. It's simple. It's just not easy. So for every obstacle we have out there, there is an opportunity at the end of it, and it is advancement that we see. As the obstacle is the way, we identify from birth to 18, 18 to 25, 25 to 40, 40 to 50, up and above 50. See, that's for me because I go way up there. Some of you, if I was with you at the Estelle Academy in Edmonton, now you're going to stop after number 2 there. Most of you, you're just getting into our industry. Most. But the reason I do this is I have found by identifying your age pattern, it's a great way to be able to identify the obstacles that you had during that time. What did you overcome? What were your achievements? What that does is it gives you confidence to know that you can overcome whatever's in front of you now. The obstacle to action advances the action. What stands in the way becomes the way, as I quote Marcus Aurelius. And a great learning experience today is we all have so many similar challenges. And I'm going to ask Sean now to take us through some of the obstacles that he's had with it. Tell us a little bit about your story. And a lot of the obstacles are just opportunities. Sean, take it away.
Wayne, I love that. Obstacle, opportunity, and advancement, right? Oh, man. And as you know, this was an interesting, exercise for me because you really get to go back and think about what are the obstacles in our past that really shaped who we are today, right? And at whatever age we are, we all have had obstacles we've had to overcome that turned into opportunities for us to grow. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about my story. I think, it's interesting. I was a little man there that you see, and in that picture there was an obstacle that day. That was my picture day, and I had a really, really bad cold. And so my mom decided it was a great idea to give me that little plastic rubber ball there, the red one, and that might make me smile a little bit more. So, even for this picture, I had to overcome the obstacle of just not feeling myself, right? Well, I was born in South Africa, and that was an incredible opportunity for me. But when I moved back to the United States, or back to the United States, to the United States for the first time, I was 6 years old. And if you can imagine, I got to go into preschool and elementary school as that kid from Africa. And I spoke two languages, and it was an obstacle, right? People challenge me all the time, ask me these strange questions. Can you say this in a different language? And I learned right away that building relationships was being your true, authentic self, but being able to share your story with people so that they could create awareness or obtain awareness from your story. And so that was, as I started to advance, and then from there, of course, I got into high school, and sports was a really incredible opportunity for me. There was plenty of obstacles, right? Because as you progress in sports, there's always somebody who's just as fast or just as good or stronger or maybe better coached or what have you. And then you have that opportunity to say, if it is to be, it is up to me. And through that, I got the opportunity to play very high level soccer in college, and then even semi-pro after that. And I learned so much about what it means to commit to things. And then, of course, I, ran back into this beautiful woman who became my wife, and we had these incredible children, Jonah and Lainey, that you see here. And what I learned very quickly was what responsibility meant, because it was no longer just me, right? Now it was these family members, and then how are we going to get a house, and how are we going to be able to have dinner and breakfast every day, and all of these little things. And that whole responsibility really changed the way I looked at my daily actions and the things that I pursued. From there, Wayne, I really got the opportunity to learn resilience as well. And one of the greatest things I've learned from joining this hair industry, this beautiful beauty industry that we live in and work in and serve in, is that it's not a normal thing to not have change and challenge. That is just what our industry is about. And what I really learned again from that was resilience, and that you can't just rely on the skills that you currently have for your future. And joining the Surface family really gave me the opportunity to grow at an even higher level. One of the obstacles in my way was, how would I be able to share my message and be a non-hairdresser and impact our industry to a very high level? And I learned that I had to work even harder because it's about sharing, and sharing is taking your passions and delivering them to other people with purpose. And I learned from this quote that success attitude is equally as important as ability. And as you mentioned earlier today, Wayne, mindset, right? Mindset is the established set of attitudes we hold on to. And I also have learned through the Surface family that if serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. And those obstacles that I ran into all the way through my young 43 years have built this incredible life and this mindset that if it is to be, it is up to me. And that, having balance in life is not the absence of hard work. It's actually quite the opposite. It's learning how to work as hard as you ever have in your life and be able to also rest and play just as hard. And so it has been an incredible opportunity and experience for me to go through this exercise. And I hope that everybody has the same opportunity to advance their understanding of who they are and what they have to share with other people by doing the same thing. And I know, Wayne, there's one other person for sure that has joined you and I today that has done just that. So I'd love to be able to hand it back to you and Lindsay to share more.
Awesome, Sean. Well, thank you so very much with that. And I like to start the story off, but I'm not going to. When I met this amazing young woman, and I saw in her slides, she's going to share a piece of the career that we did connect in. And I've always said hairdressers, you can see the ones that love the work because they do hair with their heart as well as their hands. But Lindsay also serves in the business world with her heart as well as her hands. So, Lindsay, how about if we share a little bit about your story and how it supported you and your growth and what you've taken in life skills from it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, my upbringing, I have one saying I want to say before we jump into a little bit about me is perfection was an unset expectation. And I really loved this exercise because it helped me identify, and I know, Wayne, you're going to get into this, that 80% of who you are is really this birth year to 18 years old. And I really, really connected with this. When I was growing up, my mom was the president of Ballet of Omaha. So I was in ballet from the year 3 all the way until the year 16. I also joined Sherry Anderson School of Dance and Music in Omaha, Nebraska. And that really taught me etiquette. It taught me how to be funny through acting, whether it was music or dance. And then my mom also felt like I needed some life skills. So she put me in 4-H camp, and I was a Girl Scout, Girl Scouts honor for those fellow Girl Scouts out there until I was the age of 16 as well. That really taught me how to be a team player, but just those general life skills, right? From there on, I also was in competitive cheerleading. I am from Papillion, Nebraska, right by Omaha, suburb of Nebraska. So I've always been a part of a team, and I really loved competitive cheerleading. I became captain of my high school cheerleading squad, but also the competitive cheerleading squad. And this picture is very significant for me. It was my first year being captain, and I was a sophomore. So that was definitely scary because you're leading others that are older than you as a sophomore. So that was really scary, but it's also significant because we were able to lead a team to being 7th in the world in Disney World. So this is one of our celebration pictures of that. And life is not easy, friends. So my story gets a little bit rocky at this picture here. This picture is of me when I was 17 years old. And yes, I fell pretty hard. I got in trouble. My parents divorced, and that really, really rocked me hard. So my instinct was survival. I started my own business at 17 called Hempaholic Co-op, and I made jewelry out of hemp, as you can see on the table. So when my parents divorced, that I needed to survive, right? So for me, I needed money. I ended up actually raising myself at 17. My mom partially moved out. So for me, that was my huge obstacle. I had this perfect life all the way up until then. So what did I do? I started my own business. And then that led me to really going to hair school. I put myself through hair school. Of course, my mom helped with that as well. But that was my option of survival, was I knew I loved beauty. In fact, when I was a Girl Scout, that's where I learned how to braid. So I totally rebelled. I cut my hair off, as you can see. Definitely one of my most favorite haircuts. I went through my punk rock emo phase there, but hair school was fantastic, and I fell into some really good hands at Peel Salon Services. And I am very grateful for this for many, many reasons. This was a huge opportunity for me to show creativity and to also have that independent creativity. So where the teamwork came in is we actually set a world record with Peel Salon Services and the Guinness Book of World Records. And many of you who may still remember this that are on the call, we did the most haircuts at one time as our world record, which is fantastic. This taught me so much about leadership, but also about coordination, logistics, all the behind the scenes that you would need to do to really get the job done start to finish, whether it was building an Excel spreadsheet to how to create a flyer to put on an education program. And I'm secondly very lucky for this because that's how I met Surface and my family. That's been the last 10 years. This is a picture of my very first event. This is Linda Boscow. I'm doing her hair, Pueblo, Colorado. And then the other picture is of me on stage of my very first show. I was so nervous. I think, Wayne, you remember that. It was probably microphone shaking in hand. But if it wasn't for those small steps, I would have never found Surface. So I feel very lucky for all that to fall in my hands. And because I am slightly crazy, I decided to get married a month later after starting Surface. So I got married and changed careers all in 1 month to the man of my dreams, my husband, Rory. So as I look back at the last specifically 10 years of Surface, I can't believe how fast it's went. The love of my life, Rory, has really helped me. I've been living out of a suitcase a lot, right? So that for him to stick by my side, but he's really a part of Surface too. So he's the biggest part of my life. And then my other part of my life is all of our teammates at Surface. So what I've really learned about this is I started with teams, and I'm still here building a team, and it's been a huge pleasure and an honor to do that alongside so many brilliant minds. So enough about me. Wayne, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's share a little bit about your story and how you got here.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, Sean, and my pen was going like crazy writing some things down. And I know that everybody can relate to the stories that they've just heard because we do have those aspects in our life. And one of the things we stated are the behavior styles that we achieve from birth to 18. We carry many of them today. And some of them, you may decide that you want to change a little bit because we can change how we've been programmed that way. My story goes a little bit longer that way, as you'll see in the airs, and there's the love of my life, Deborah there. And let's pop to the start. You see, everybody has a picture like that. Everybody's got that baby picture somewhere with it. And then what happens in that journey? The next pictures, and many of you at shows have seen this is myself with my dad in the barber shop. My grandfather barbered, I had 2 uncles that barbered, 3 aunts that hairdressed. But when I look at this, I want you to look a little deeper because I was 17 in that picture. I first started cutting hair the first time I picked up a clipper and a comb was I was 13. You see the mirror behind my dad in the barber shop, was 2 of those big mirrors. First job when I was about 7 was cleaning those mirrors on a little stool after hours. After school, sweeping the hair around Dad's chair, cleaning up the magazines. And I'm so grateful for what I learned in the way of responsibility. And the responsibility also shared pride with me because the little spending money that I had from that, I had earned it. And I'll never forget what I've learned in that time about you have to earn that base and how you appreciate that base. And so many of that I've carried with forever. And I learned from my dad's commitment to working through challenges and such. And I look back on the things that I've learned and how it carried me into the future. And oh, boom, there you are, 1978. Oh my goodness, like 45 years ago. Big year. Deborah and I got married. We opened up our first salon. Let me go with some of the things that I've learned in that. We talk right now about the obstacle being the way. Through that journey of life when I was younger, the pre-18, and here, I never saw any obstacles in front of me. The only thing I saw was opportunity. And obstacles were obviously there, but you just immediately thought past them. The bank loaned Deborah and I $3,500 against collateral, which was the only thing we owned was a 1975 Camaro Super Sport at that time. But we ran out of money just before we were able to hook up the plumbing for it. Was it going to stop? No. We found out, gee whiz, I could have support of a sales consultant around me, myself, and we're going to find out a way to make it happen. And that was a part of the life that really just came into, let's just make it happen. And we carried that with too, all the way down to the rest of it. Now, this is mainly business, except for you see the family in the top left-hand corner there. Going down in the early, I'm going to say towards the end of the 80s in Disney World. hands in the air, big smiling faces, except for Deb. She's grabbing on pretty tight with that. Yes, we're about to hit the water at Thunder Mountain, or the waterfall there. The reason that I place it is that there's balances of time that we have always in our life. And I feel very fortunate that when I take a look at the balance of time, I've always looked at it as an investment versus a sacrifice. Because when you take a look at what it takes to succeed in your academy and school, the students that are out there, the salon owners that are still rebuilding after COVID, or the new salon owner happening, is those obstacles advance your action, but it's an investment of your time versus a sacrifice. It's that balance. One of the big motivating factors was my family, because I wanted to be able to provide for them a wonderful life. So when you take a look at that picture you had beside there with the hair and the mustache, I worked really hard at my craft. And in that little salon that you saw there was the first competition I won. When I was 19, I won the Canadian men's haircutting. And when I was 20, I won the women's haircutting. But I trained and I practiced and I trained and I practiced with it. And one of the things that as we grew and we expanded our salon into the city, I realized the importance of systems. And whether you're a stylist of one, you're an owner of a large group, if you're writing a note down, its systems provide the longevity of growth. That's where the 5 keys first came to life, was in 1988, actually written on a napkin at a restaurant in California with a wonderful man by the name of Arthur Long, who was a business representative in the salon industry in Europe. And the discussion that I shared in my belief on those 5 keys, and the first thing he said is, Wayne, they have to be trainable. Otherwise, they're just an idea. People talk up opening a second location, a third location, bringing more people into my salon. The key was having a system to have growth. And in my story that led on to Deborah and I, if you flash way on, I was beyond our wildest dreams when we were nominated for Canadian Entrepreneur of the Year. And when they really dug into our company to see if we qualified, they looked at how we gave back, the people around us, our systems around us with it. And we won in Western Canada and went on to the Canadian finals. And one of the things that puts the biggest smile on our face right now also are those amazing grandchildren that you see underneath. So the story moves from the basic beginnings, as everybody starts somewhere, the motivating factor of being able to have systems within our business, and then came Surface. The Surface story began as Deborah and I were about to retire. Well, blink on that, my goodness. It led us to working harder than ever before, but being happier doing so. As I was about to retire, I started studying personal health. And it led me to the unfortunate toxins that are in our industry on a continuous basis. And somehow people just put up with them. And there was natural-based products that were out there at that time, but the biggest challenge with those natural-based products, unfortunately, is they didn't perform. I'd used them. And as a high-level competitive hairdresser, we know we needed that to be able to perform. So my family and I went to work to be able to bring products to the world that completely would respect personal health as well as the earth and have the highest level of performance. And our goal was very simple, is to have it supported by systems of success for salons and stylists. Support now provided by the amazing salon growth management and leadership team that we have. Because as a product for salons and for colleges, I believe we needed to provide them with added value of business support. And then also our education team on technical support. And ultimately, that story now is everybody that's out there in front of a computer or phone watching. You are such a part of our story, and we appreciate you every single day. Because together, we are leaving the earth a better place. And when we found Surface, the commitment was to have solutions for absolutely all hair types. Let me make that note again. When this dream came to life, the number one thing we shared is, yes, we would only choose ingredients that respected personal health and the earth, but we would make the biggest statement about what we included in there. The organic amaranth, babassu oil for a delivery system, and then to specifically formulate the most recent blowout to have moisture, be heat resistant, to last with style, memory in the hair. So the obstacle is the way for each one of those products we see. The obstacle was huge. Being able to be drug-free with the Awaken World, to be able to stimulate a faster, stronger growing hair with botanicals. In the curl world, to work with naturals inside the hair to reduce the frizz by strengthening the structural bond. Not meant to go into a science, but just to understand the story behind it. And the story behind it is just one that truly cares. When it comes to your story, and if you haven't done it already, I highly, highly recommend that you do so. Take the time to put on the paper and what I sent you, and the obstacle is the way. Look at your past, identify your present, because that is the driving force for your future. And that is, your time is now. And the first thing we'll move through this morning in Coaching for Performance. Please note on the bottom of that first note page that I gave you there, in your coaching story, the first thing we do is awareness. You see, looking back at my story, I realized the only thing that we can control is that which we're aware of. That which we're unaware of controls us. So I have to be honest with myself. What are my strengths? Where are areas that I want to grow? What are some behavior styles that I may have adopted when I was very young that I carry with me that aren't helping me go where I want to go? Sean said it so well. I wrote it down. He says, I can't rely on the skills that I have to grow now to be successful in my future. So I want to be aware of those. The next thing is responsibility. When we choose responsibility for our thoughts and our actions, our commitment to them rises, and so does our performance. Lindsay shared it, Sean shared it, the 10 most powerful 2-letter words in the world. If it is to be, it's up to me. Because by accepting responsibility for our own success and our own failures is the first step that we can really have to growth. And process. See, the process is the action that we take or we don't take on a daily basis. When you filled up that opportunity sheet, if your income is being great, wow! If it's not, the process isn't working. So awareness, responsibility, and process. And that takes us really to that mountain of life. It's our story. When you take a look at this pyramid, we're all born somewhere. This is not about judging, but please stay focused with me. You've got that X on the top. You may have been born into a family that was more affluent in the general means. You may have been born more on the bottom. Doesn't really matter. But at those areas, we gained beliefs and behavior styles. We learned them from our surroundings. The next thing I want to identify for you is the law of average. Yes, this is true in all professions. 20% of the people will earn 80% of the finances in that. It's that top 20%. We call it the law of average, and I'm going to share with you, average is quite simply the best of the worst or the worst of the best. And by giving us 3 hours of your time this morning, I hope that we can inspire you to never settle for being average. So when you wake up in the morning and understand that, one of the things that I share is your focus. If it goes to that smiling face that you see in front of you, being how can I help or serve people, that's step number 1 in being in the top 20% of the people. If your focus on the top looks down to, okay, what is the world going to do for me today? Who's going to move that rock off of my road? Somebody put it there. Somebody's got to move it. It's going to be a challenging road to move above average. So keep that thoughts become things and focusing on how to help those people. So in life, in our learned behaviors, I'm going to suggest to you the miracle, the 1 in 400 trillion chances of you being born. Think of the challenge that you overcome on the day that you were born. As a baby, it's a good thing we have got no memory coming back into there, but how scary would that be, seeing this doctor come out there with this mask, whacking you right away just to get things crying. Wow, can you believe you did that? You survived. And then we overcome two of the greatest challenges before we're 6 years old. We learn how to walk. We take a body that's designed to crawl on all fours. We stand up and we balance it. And let me tell you why. Because the world around us says you can do it. Let me get it. The world around us says you can do it. And you hold out your fingers and the child wraps their hands around them and you can feel them balance and you look and go, oh my goodness, they're going to do it. And then what do? You lightly take your hands away to watch that child balance. And if they fall, you help them again going, oh, you're okay. You can do it. You don't look over and go, oh, no. Over here, people are average. They don't walk. Stay crawling. You won't hit your head. I'm not going to get in trouble. And I know I poke humor at that, but it's so true. Because it's such a supportive world. You know what my favorite word is in the entire English language? It starts with an L. It's called lelo. Because I still got a couple of granddaughters and a grandson sometimes that say lelo. And I think there's nothing warmer and gives me a more warm fuzzy. And when you hear that, you don't go, you're not saying that right. That's a yellow. No. You encourage people. And I want you to know that it's a safe place in this world to be able to make mistakes, because if you don't make a mistake, you're not setting the bar high enough. So in doing that, how do we push above average? First of all, be aware of the things that are making us successful and what are some of my behaviors that aren't. What do I have to change? And I want to share with you that I put the school there because that's where the unfortunate magnet to average happens without us even knowing it. Because the child may go to school and, he may be wearing something different than most kids aren't, and may say something different, may listen to some different music, and they may go into a set of peers that go, did you see what she's wearing? Oh my goodness, I don't think we should be her friend. Did you hear what she said? And what all of a sudden the person feels ostracized on it, and their subconscious goes, okay, now, if I look like them and if I act like them and I listen to the music and I watch the movies and such that they do, then I will fit in. Unless they're in a world of encouragement to be able to go, you know what, it is okay not to be just the average. But you may be lucky. You may be into a group of very positive people, people that are very team-orientated, people that are very positive moving forward, and it's just about being aware. So if you were in that environment, great, carry those strengths forward. If you're in an environment that weren't, you can't look at it in a negative. You've got to look at it in a positive as you're moving forwards. And identify that no matter what challenge is in front of you right now, you won't want to be average, you want to be unusual, and you can do it. You see a word just popped up on your screen there, and it's called the cave. And it happens in life after a number of years when you reach a level of success, and you can become complacent. And there's two things in complacency. First of all, complacency is not totally bad, but it can be. It's on your mental choice. If you reach that cave and you go, I tried that. Oh, I tried that. It worked for a while. It didn't work here. I tried that. Oh my goodness, I'm not moving ahead. That's not a good place to be. But if you're at a place going, you know what, I'm really happy with my life right now. I'm really happy with my income right now. Then that cave might be okay. But just realize if it is to be, it's up to me. And there's no such thing as staying completely on par. You're either moving backwards or you're moving forwards. So if it is to be, it's up to me. And the responsibility of your story progressing. Be aware of where that story's come from, but who's going to write the next chapter? And then what actions have to happen? Because you know what? There's no magic dust that somebody sprinkles and all of a sudden everything's beautiful. We identify what work has to take place, what learning. So I've got some questions for you. Number one, pen in hand, ask yourself, are you fulfilling your potential? Well, pause just for a second. As a stylist, is maybe your potential of your book. As an owner, it's a potential of your salon. As a salon support consultant, a business partner, fulfilling your potential of the growth of the people around you. As a student, are you fulfilling your potential to learn? Next question, would more success today be bad for you? Kind of a loaded question. Everybody's going to go no. But then I'll say, what responsibility are you taking? And you have already because you joined us to learn today. to be able to grow that success. And a flash of the blinding obvious, my friends, you get out of it what you put into it. There's those two words, sacrifice versus investment. And I suggest you take this word sacrifice and set it aside and take a look at when you're investing your time. You feel so much more positive. Investing it in my business, investing it in my family, because time is the most valuable thing that you ever have. As we grow from our stories, there's a couple of key things that I want you to focus on. Number one, in your past, please use your memories. Don't let your memories use you. When I first heard that said, it was by my good friend Doug Cox, and it's so powerful because your mind can only hold one thought at a time, but yet you control that thought. You can take that thought and move it out. You can take that thought and move it in. So use your memories. Don't let them use you. Use them to be able to grow. How can I learn from past errors, from past negative situations? How can I embrace the best? Today, right now. What time is it? Now. What can I learn, plan, and do? Live each day to its fullest. Right now, engaging in our learning, the notes that might come down, and for the future. Ask myself, as a coach, the most important person you ever coach is you. When you look in the mirror, who am I becoming? Who's my team becoming? What's my salon becoming? I'm ready, set, grow. And you're going to hear that a lot from Surface this coming year. Ready, set, grow. Healthier, happier, and prosperous. And quite simply, leaving the earth a better place than we found it. 2 words. I want you ready for this. The more appreciation that you have for yourself, the more appreciation you have for those around you, the higher your expectations become. What do you expect out of you? Because when I take my past, I look to the future. What are your expectations of learning, of growing, of changing your behavior styles with your guests to maximize experience? So making sure that that expectation just isn't of others, but it always begins with ourself first. And that appreciation that we just talked about, identifying the strengths, the good that you have, what you've overcome in your life already, that fuels enthusiasm, which builds expectation. And yes, years wrinkle our skin, but to lose enthusiasm wrinkles one's soul. So to cherish that enthusiasm as we move forwards. I'm going to take this moment for a time out and bring Sean and Lindsay back to the screen for us. And, from our stories that we 3 of us all shared, from what we shared on the Coaching for Performance, Sean, Lindsay, what's your thoughts? What's ahas did you grab at this point?
Go for it, Lindsay. I'll go after you.
Well, Wayne, I love what you said just about the cave, right? And I think a lot of us can get stuck in the cave at many times in our journeys. So what do you feel like is the number one action right now? If somebody's in the cave right now, what do we need to do today, starting right after this call, to get out of our cave?
To get out of the cave, the very first thing is you take your pen. Even myself sitting here listening to you guys, you write down, what do I want to be better at? Boom, done. Don't judge. That's the number one thing. Don't judge yourself. Just what do I want to be better at? When you write that down, then you know something that you want to build your mindset to grow towards, Lindsay. Thank you so much for that. Spot on.
Awesome, Lindsay. Wayne, one of the things I've loved and, that you shared today is, it has to do with appreciation. And you said something very dynamic, and you said, time. How has time been spent, and how you look at it, your perception, your mindset towards it being either sacrifice or investment. And, I just wanted to ask you to just dive a little bit deeper into that investment versus sacrifice from an appreciation standpoint.
And I'll go back to it. It was something that I didn't always have. That is, I believe every hairdresser out there had that mental battle of justifying, okay, why am I going to miss the first piece of my daughter's ballet recital because I'm back in my day finishing up my last perm with that? or why am I going to work that Saturday morning and being late for that hockey game that's going to happen. And you can really trouble yourself mentally over something like that. It can be unbelievable stress, but you do know that they wouldn't have the ballet slippers if you weren't there doing the perm, and that the hockey registration wouldn't be paid for if you didn't stay that morning to do the work. So it becomes a real balance that a person has mentally with it. And with that, it is just so important to go, you know what? Yeah, this is where I'm going to invest my time now. The other thing that I did very early myself personally was I would like to be a leader in as many areas I could so that I could control my time. And that's why, for example, I coached hockey for so many years because I could plan where the tournaments were going to be, when they were going to be, was there going to be less? No, but I could really control that element. So am I a control freak? Yeah, a little bit. Sorry to say, guys, you guys all know that. But it's in a very positive mindset in the way that it helps me be the best that I can be. And it's such a peace of mind. And I hope I put a lot of smiles on people's faces out there when I said you're investing that. So it's Lindsay, anything else that you had from the last segment that we went through?
Well, I think something that keeps popping up in my head is called mental conditioning, right? So like when something happens, you become conditioned to, but then you learn from it. So those experiences, like you said, are really defining us for our future. And you just keep building upon that in a very positive way. And the other thing is how you were growing up, that 80% of that time really affects your future, but how it's affecting your team or others around you. And I think that's where that emotional intelligence really comes in. So just building off of that, that mental conditioning is very important to recognize in a positive way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that, when we take a look and everybody builds their story, there's going to be parts of your story that you're not a big fan of, but hey, that piece of that story made you who you are. And don't judge it. Don't judge the people, because then you get caught in a negative drawback. It's just going, this is awareness. And that happened for a reason, because now I'm going to be better for that reason. And you can actually appreciate a negative because it ends up making you a better person for it. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. Sean, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we move on to a favorite part of ours on 4 core traits?
Yeah, Wayne, just, I did want to touch one more time on what you said about coaching for performance, and the question that we get to ask ourselves continuously, and that is, am I fulfilling my potential? And what I love about that, Wayne, is that, you don't have to measure. We always talk about measurement so that we can tell where we are in our process, right? But what I love about fulfilling potential and our own appreciation of that is it's amazing at how you will get results so much more clearly and so much faster when you are challenging yourself to fulfill your own personal potential. It's not being judged by others. All right. You are and measuring yourself against others. You are literally measuring yourself against your own potential. And are you reaching it? And I think that's something really important for all of us in our industry to really strive towards, right? Because it doesn't matter what somebody else's potential is. It matters what ours is. And if each of us are doing that, can you imagine what the team would be like, right? So I just thank you for sharing that with us.
And Sean, in summing that up, my belief has always been success isn't about getting ahead of others. It's about getting ahead of ourselves. And that's so much about the awareness on the 5 keys is how I grow and how I've been a better person for it. So and with that, let's move on and just remind the people of the miracle that they really are. You are 1 in 400 trillion. Take time to appreciate your story, but take time to have high expectations of yourself. And I'll ask you as we move forward, part of that is knowing when's your most productive day of the year. Think about that. When you get the most done, you're successful, you're meeting all your expectations, you feel great about yourself. Well, I tell you when it is, you guys, it's the day before you go on vacation. And the reason is you have a plan in place and you expect to succeed because the plane is on its way to Hawaii or wherever it's going in. You've got a great to-do list, but you also have a not to-do list. When we think about the times in life that we are so very productive, think about the why and the how behind that. In life, try to have a not to do list. Take some of the pressure off of yourself. Identify how happy you are the day before you go on vacation and how much you get done. Hey, it's simple. It's what? Just not easy. Now, the 4 core traits of highly successful people, and if you haven't done it already, I hope I can inspire you to, when you're done, take this sheet. And what you do is you go through and you rank each of these areas. 1 is a never, 10 is an always, and total it up. What does a total mean? Nothing. It just means the areas that you may identify to be able to grow. And this is highly successful people. This is people in the top 5% of the mountain. They have the ability to define and reach higher goals. Those higher goals are the ones that they identify where they're at and where they are going to go. And they're driven by a deep emotional need to succeed. Let me use the example of, for example, Sean with his high level of soccer. We go to Lindsay with the competitive that she had in cheerleading. They very naturally early on had a need to succeed. That's awesome. Now, if we didn't have that, we can learn to go, you know what? I really believe in myself, and I'm going to drive myself to be better, to succeed. But I want you to be aware of something. This is huge. We've all experienced it. Is self-sabotage of goals. Let's say that you set your goal. This is how many guests that I want on a regular basis. This is my average services per guest, retail per guest, rebooking guest. Man, I'm going to be so successful on my guest book. I want you to be aware of these emotions. No matter what that goal is, the very first emotion that comes out is excitement. You are so excited. For an example, that goal, instead of doing the numbers there, it may be going to the Bahamas on vacation. I can't wait. But I want you to realize that immediately after anybody sets a goal, there's 3 subconscious areas of self-sabotage that comes in. Conflict, doubt, resistance to change. There's a little voice that pops up and goes, oh, you really can't do that. You've tried that before. It's never happened, and it's not going to happen. You start making reasons. It's not going to happen because of this. It's not going to happen because of this. And you know what? If I'm really going to have that income to go to the Bahamas, I'm not going to be able to watch my favorite television program on Thursday night anymore because I'm probably going to have to work at the salon some Thursday evenings to make the numbers. Are you with me on that? But if you can mentally go through that, then you get the commitment. You're going, you know what? No, I can do it. Yes, it will take some changes. Yes, my investment of that time working outweighs the investment of that time in a different direction. And then ultimately, we accept our driving pattern towards the goal. So be aware of when you're setting goals that there will be that self-sabotage that comes out, and you need to be able to get through it. The next core trait is achievement drive. The achievement drive is the energy that's released from goal clarity. And I get questions throughout the years a lot on achievement drive. Wayne, like, where does achievement drive come from? Well, it grows with belief in your self-image. I'm worth it. I can do it. When you feel good about yourself, I tell you what, first thing you want to do with achievement drive is when we're done, if you have an alarm clock, go and take that alarm clock and go and put it in the recycle bin. Go to your local store, and what I'd like you to be able to pick up at your local store is an opportunity clock. Because people with high achievement drives have opportunity clocks because they know when they wake up in the morning, they have the opportunity to serve again for that day. So it's that mindset of excitement, living your life to your fullest. And your achievement drive multiplies your skills, your knowledge, and your abilities. Now, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Got a pen in your hand, write it down, any paper you've got here. The knowledge of the industry. Now, you may be a salon consultant, you might be a salon owner, manager, stylist, student. What's your knowledge level right now? 1 low, 10 high. What's your actual skill set, the physical skill set of action? 1 low, 10 high. The experience, 1 low, 10 high. A little bit of a curveball here. Many people think that experience is all tied to years. It's not. You may be in the industry for 1 year, but you may be working with somebody that's so successful, and you've got such a growth mindset through osmosis, you pull their experience into you. So experience, 1 low, 10 high. Education, 1 low, 10 high. Certifications within a stylist. How many certifications from Surface do you have right now? And then achievement drive. Write down what you feel your achievement drive is right now. 1 low, 10 high. So as an example, if you were 10s across the top, superstar, you have a success power of 40. Watch what happens with achievement drive. If you're 10 on achievement drive, it becomes a multiplier of everything above it. Your success power goes to 400. So the passion of loving what you do and believing in yourself becomes a multiplier of everything above it. This is a key word that Lindsay had shared a couple times already, emotional intelligence. To understand our emotions, our behaviors, and to understand, not judge, but understand other emotional and intelligence, the behaviors, and adjust accordingly to them. Emotional intelligence, to have the inner discipline, the power to do what you have to do. And Walt Disney summed it up perfectly. He called it stick to it activity. And excellent social skills. And yes, these are trainable. When we look at our social skills, we identify that asking questions and ability to listen. It is said that great social skills are defined by spending one's time 75% of the time listening, 15% of the time asking questions, and only 10% of the time talking. Well, that's a real rarity in our industry as we engage with guests at our chairs on a continuous basis. But the only way that you'll ever spend 75% of your time listening is if you're asking the right questions. And in those social skills, be able to identify behavior styles, as we said, and adjust to them. In excellent social skills, if I see somebody as a very high energy individual, I need to pick my energy up while I'm communicating. If I see someone that's more of a passive communicator, I may mellow myself out a little bit more. I just care enough about that individual that I want to be able to connect with them. To be able to then to truly communicate effectively is to train, is to understand these skills, to seek first to understand and then to be understood. Please identify understanding is not meaning that you have to agree with that individual, but you understand them. And we identify that there are levels of listening. And to be a great listener begins with the awareness of these. I listen, but do I really hear? Ignore. Lights are on, no one's home. The next level, selective. I'm hearing just what I want to hear. The next one is active. And active listeners many times think they're good listeners. The challenge is they're not tuned solely into the person they're communicating with. They're very broad in being aware of everything around. I'll give you an example. As a stylist in a chair, the individual's talking to you, but your little voice is going, what's her name? I know her name, and I think I talked about where she was going on vacation. I just can't remember. And they're allowing the mind to wander with it. Versus the top level of listening. Highly successful people are tremendous communicators because they listen empathically. And a key to empathic listening is eye contact. As the individual is speaking, you would even nod. You never look to the floor. You never look to the ceiling. You maintain engagement with them. You listen at a level that you can repeat back to them, reflecting. Let me see if I've heard you correctly. Wow! Highly successful people as a leader, as a stylist behind your chair and leading the communication with your guests, amazing. Now, when it's time for me to speak, I want to identify what determines belief and trust. So when we take a look at our words, the tone of our voice, the visual, out of 100%, our words are only 7% determining belief. And by the way, what's more important, what you say or what people hear? Let me give you that again. What's more important, what you say or what people hear? I believe you'll agree with me. It's what people hear. So it's the tone of the voice, the sincerity, and then the visual around them that supports that message. Within the first 10 seconds of meeting you, a person's identifying, can I trust you? What's your level of success? What's your moral character? Is this something that immediately begins as a stylist for success? Absolutely. We were at a very large group meeting of large chain salon owners this year, and I was on a panel, and I mentioned the such importance of training soft skills, especially coming out of COVID, where we weren't working face to face. And it's funny because we went, "What do you mean soft skills?" I said, "It's not the cut, it's not the color, it's the soft communication skills. The importance of a smile, the importance of a bounce in your step, the importance of enthusiasm in your voice, dressing when you leave your house every morning, looking in a full-length mirror from the tip of your toe to the top of your head and going, you know what, you look great," and being able to really carry that forwards. So when we take a look at this, our nonverbal communication, where 55% of whether someone's going to believe us or not, is on our personal surroundings. When I take a look at Dad's barbershop, the importance it was to him to have everything clean in his bases. Before Dad would have the next guest sit in his chair, the chair was all swept, cape was snapped off, everything was re-straightened again. How many times in a salon by 4 o'clock it looks like a bomb went off at somebody's workstation? Little things don't mean a lot. They mean everything. Taking the time to go into your salon, standing at the outside and going, okay, what does this say to me? Walking in the front door, looking in the retail area from the floor, doing a 360-degree look, 360-degree in the bathroom, 360-degree in the styling area, to raise that level of awareness. My body language. Catch myself smiling, walking as if there's a string from the top of the head to the top of the ceiling. And my tone and voice always showing enthusiasm. And tie it together with positive mental attitude. It's been a way of life for me. I'm very fortunate that way. If you find yourself always saying good things, keep on saying them. And the easiest word to help you with positive mental attitude is the word great. How's business? Great. How you feeling? Great. Late 80s, a lady at a seminar went, you know what, Wayne, what if you're not feeling great and business isn't great? Wouldn't you be lying? I'm like, whoa. You know what? You're not really lying. You can be telling the truth in advance. Because it's that energy that people come to see you for. The most successful people in the beauty industry carry a positive enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, you see those last 4 letters that I bolded out for you there? The reason that they're bolded out is I believe they're an acronym for I am sold myself. I am sold myself means I believe in my product. I believe in my service. I believe in what I'm giving you. I am sold myself. So yes, life is great. Then when it comes to choosing your words, I've got just a little bit of a guidance for you. Always use words that are positive. They create belief. Don't use words that leave doubt. Know what to say. Ask and use discovery questions to listen. In a nutshell with that, you will love this. Oh, I know what's going to look great on you versus, you know what I think you might like. Take out the might, take out the think, and be positive with it. Discovery questions start like this. Describe for me, what do you like best about your hair? What do you like least about your hair? How would you describe your ability to style your hair at home? So that leaves open-ended communication. And now the awareness of what we just shared with you right now, let's have just a little bit of fun for a second on this. The first one was awareness of our core traits of success. I write specific goals for sales and income. Never always. I don't know. Do you just wake up in the morning and see what's coming at you and take it? I don't know. I revise and update these goals monthly. My goals are consistent with my values, which means I feel good about them. I feel worthy of achieving my goals. And I break my goals down into daily steps, my actions. What do you do at 8 o'clock in the morning to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 12? What does your day look like? How do you segment it for success? High achievement drive. I demonstrate a high level of desire for my goals. I'm self-motivated towards high achievement. I believe my goals are within my reach. I reward myself for reaching my goals. Yeah, spoil yourself when you achieve them. My need for achievement overpowers my fears for rejection. Healthy emotional intelligence. This is powerful, guys. I'm driven by a strong sense that I create value for people above what they pay me. I always maintain a level of emotional response. I understand my emotions and their influence upon my sales behavior. I believe in myself. I believe in my product. I can pick myself up after repeated rejections. I have to learn to replace negative emotions with positive ones. And all those are 1, never, 10, always. I don't know. It's not judging. And excellent social skills. I adjust well to all types of people and situations. Never, always. I listen well and I'm sensitive to people's ideas and needs. I'm effective at calming people in stressful times. I'm intuitive and able to pick up on unspoken meanings. I work well with a wide diversity of people. Now, if you were tens all across the board and you added everything up, your score could have been 200. What does it mean? Nothing. It's all about your awareness. But I do suggest this. Take that page and go to one of each of those 4 things and just circle 1 in each that you want to be better at. So now what you've done is you actually identified something that you're actually going to grow with. And with that, let's bring Sean and Lindsay back on and see what popped out at you during that time for us to discuss. Sean, Lindsay, come back with us there. Lindsay, your turn first.
All right, Lindsay.
All right. Well, I love I always love relearning about the verbal, nonverbal, and the expression. And that was just, it's always a good reminder, right? It's not what you said, but how you said it. Did you roll your eyes or not, right? So, but I think the way that we respond to a situation in the salon can really affect others, right? And so we have to be very in tune with ourselves and our own, emotions, how we look, what we're wearing, to how we say things, right? And that ultimately trickles down the pipeline to your team. So if you're in a salon that is maybe struggling right now and you're having team conflict, Wayne, you always say this to Sean and I, if you're pointing a finger, you always have 2 fingers pointing back towards you, is, look at yourself to make sure, put yourself in check, right? And that's something that I always really, especially this year, I feel like the whole, nonverbal, verbal has really helped me coach others. And you can see that. So Sean, what about you?
Wayne, you talk about notes. I think I have 6 pages of notes already. I'm going to need a new pen. But what I really, really loved out of this segment specifically was a reminder that you gave me. And that was, words that sell are positive. Words that don't sell, and this is the part that I really loved, they leave doubt. And so I just think back to when I'm trying to inspire somebody about something specific, and I have to ask myself, did I leave doubt in that conversation that would make them, second guess whether it was the right decision for them? And that ultimately leads to that enthusiasm, right? Like, I am sold myself. And I've always believed that selling comes from your passion, right? It's, if you are passionate about what you're discussing, you will purposefully share it. And I think that's what I love about that. So what an incredible reminder for all of us who, greet our guests. Am I using positive words, or do I leave doubt? And I'm really thankful for that reminder today.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. And Lindsay, that really takes me to a part of the world we live in today when we talk about responding. And social media over the past 15 years, I believe one of the challenging elements of it is it's programmed people that they need to respond now. How many times have you ever been going through and going, oh, I better like this, or, oh, did I like that? Let me go back and see it again. And we don't take time for stillness. And I just wanted to share with you that in that time when you're looking to respond to a team member in your salon, a person in your family, just take a time to think. My grandma, one of the things that she said early on, and she gave Deborah and I a word of marriage advice. And she said, if you ever find yourself wanting to say something that possibly could be challenging to the other individual, take a glass of water and have 10 good cold swallows. Think before you speak. And that's nothing new that's out there, but we're in such an instant program and we feel pressure to respond. But it's okay that you don't have to in that social media. And if you want to repeat something after me, I think it's so powerful. Let me think about it. Humor me, guys. Hopefully the other team is out there too. 1, 2, 3. Let me
think about it.
Yeah, because then that really shows. But at that point, make a little bit of a note down so you can get back to that individual. And it's just so important that we take the time for stillness. And by taking that time for stillness, that not mean I'm tapping out. That means that I just want to respond what that best element can be. And remember when I said the core traits of highly successful people, that's the top 5%. And why not? Why not everybody who's viewing with us today and connect? Why not just live at that top 5? Because I believe everybody has the right to go to bed with peace of mind and wake up with joy of heart in the morning. And it comes from living in that non-judgmental world and really mastering those core traits. Because you know what? Nobody, I believe, from 0 to 18 was gifted them. Nobody gave any of us that magic dust. But hey, I hope we all got the quest to learn. And that takes us to the next point on here for mental conditioning before we take a break for our 5 keys. And that is our constants. See, everything we're talking about in the world, there are 4 constants: principles, strength or lack of, change, choice, and selling. And the first constants that we take a look at is, I would say, our principles of serving. As a stylist, you have 3 possibilities to serve your guest. The strength of these values will determine how successful you will be. Now, the expected services are a cut, style, color, or texture. But now let's take a number 2. You have another area in your principles of serving, wanting to make people look their best, can be the specialty service treatments: Trinity Color Bonding, Awaken Scalp Facial, Moisture Bake, Maximum Repair. And number 3, the at-home hair and retail. So when we take a look at how committed, crazy that word, committed I am to these core values. See, the wow factor of any service provider is, how do I go beyond what's expected? Cuts expected, styles expected, colors expected, texture. But how do I move my principles to the very top end of that consistently? The awareness of principles, and I love this sketch. The 2 most important days of your life are the day you're born, the day you find out why. Find your gift, serving in our industry, and then sharing the gift, marrying them together and maximizing all 3 of the opportunities we have to serve. The next thing, get ready for it, is change. One of the constants that we have here is to identify that success lies within your evaluation response. Because right now, if you're only presenting in your values those basic services to your guests, but you want to grow, you can see me on the screen there, see me cross my arms? Watch this. I'm going to ask you to cross your arms the opposite way now. You see, what happens is when there's change, and I know if you're working with me in the groups out there, you're going to find it, how do I cross my arm? It feels awkward. But we realize that success lies within your evaluation and response. So when somebody presents change, or you present change to yourself, I'm going to evaluate it and respond. Well, it's pretty easy if I take a look at my principles. If I add an area of service on, my response to it is continuous. I'm going to grow. When it comes to change, some scary times I've been around, and I had the opportunity to do numerous interviews during the COVID lockdowns on change, business reinvented. You see, I first started when my aunts were doing the roller sets, the hairdos. I was in an audience with my dad when I was about 13 years old, and I saw a stylist say, we're not going to be roller setting as much anymore. We're going to be starting to blow dry hair once a week. And everybody went, forget it, that'll never happen. All of a sudden, this was the business that was reinvented, the permanent wave business. Thank goodness for it, because it gave us the mortgage for our home and a life for our families at that time. And then the color world came out and actually first started in the drugstores, and then we brought it into the salons. And you see, my family was able to be prosperous based on those haircuts that you see right there, because every 3 weeks people were coming into the salon, the barber shop, they were getting it trimmed up. And oh my goodness, then came the Beatles. And I use this example here because if people don't move and change, we get stuck and we maybe even be eliminated within the industry, because that men's long hair almost put my dad out of business until he realized that he needed advanced training, more education, and he drove from our small town into the city and learned how to cut men's hair and became more successful than ever. And then in 2008, when we brought a completely new world of beauty with a conscience was surfaced to our industry. And in 22 to 23, the treatments in home care, which are so imperative. We take a look at all these changes. If people didn't move forwards with them, they got stuck in the past. So the encouraging thing is now I'm going to evaluate what I'm doing right now and how am I going to raise the bar to it. And the third constant is choice. Everything we've shared so far, Lindsay, Sean, all our friends out there, people have got choices to be able to grow, to be able to stay. It's your choice. You have a current situation, you have a desired situation, and then you have the choice is between stimulus and response. And I just hope that we can share enough of a stimulus to make people go, you know what? I'm going to take a look at my story of life. I'm going to look at my strengths. I'm going to look at my weaknesses. I'm going to look at how I serve and how can I possibly grow. And the other constant there is selling. And the internal beliefs, the influence of our ability to sell and serve, to feel good about sales. And that's a lot of times, if we take a look at our story of life, did we gain a real healthy view of selling? What's our deep emotion? Is it truly helping people? Do you choose patience in life or courage? That's a big one. Please note that one. Because right now, if selling doesn't come natural to you, you may have a little voice going, well, I'm waiting for my confidence level to grow, so I'm choosing patience to not be successful. Or am I going to choose courage to be able to be better? Am I going to grow my belief in my service and my product? Because if I believe in what I'm selling, wow, and then it becomes easy. View of my ability. I'm just not good at selling. You ever have that thought process? I need you to change your mindset and going, you know what? How about you just really get great at identifying people's needs and filling the needs? I never thought of it that way. What is selling? Selling is identifying needs and then filling them. And then my commitment to activities. It's how hard that I'm going to work. Nothing in the world, my friends, happens until something is sold. Let me just slow it down. Sometimes I get just too excited about this, but I really want you to grasp this. Because you need to identify that for you to be successful, these four constants are always there. And the fundamental one at your baseline is selling. And the better you feel about yourself, the better you feel about your product, the more focused you are. When you walk into your salon and you see that surface shelf and you see your commitment to it, there's no confusion. There's no mixture to it. You're focused on what that guest needs. You're focused on the treatment that they need. And Sean, I'm going to get him to share with us afterwards on how that people are even taking options out of a treatment for a first-time guest, just to create that wow factor for them. And let's open it up again. It's short and sweet, but it is. There's four principles: change, choice, and selling. Sean and Lindsay, come join me back here again. Sean, let's kick it off with you right now. Those four constants, what jumps out at you?
Oh, Wayne, I love the change constant. So number 2 that you touched on, and mostly because it's an opportunity for us to evaluate and respond, right? We know that there is going to be change. It is constant. One of 4 things that will never go away. And so we have an opportunity, and the word that I wrote down, Wayne, with the little bit of ink I have left, is reinvent. And the thought that was stimulated to me was, how are we going to coach our salons, our stylists, and then how are our stylists going to coach their guests to reinvent? And what does that word mean to us? What is it? What inspires us when we think of that? But we constantly need to reinvent. It may be to a small degree here and there, but it's an opportunity for us to continuously grow. And I just love that thought process.
Sean, I'm going to grab that ball and take it one step farther with it, because it just triggered something that's so important. And I've said it so many times that I forgot it now until now. Thanks, Sean. All of you seasoned stylists out there, you've been in the industry 5, 10, 20, 30 years. Do you have any of your clients in bad habits, your guests in bad habits? If you were to know now if you knew then what you know now, would you engage your guests in a higher level fashion? How many people have never been coached about the proper specific hair care systems to use on their hair, so they don't think it's important? How many stylists out there began their careers consulting their guests like this? How much you want off today? Same as last time, just a trim. What do you want? Have a seat in the sink. Follow me back. I don't know if that sounds familiar, but it's in our industry a lot. And, please don't judge. It doesn't make people bad. It just means that you've inherited that terminology from the world around you, and you may be still carrying it today. So what time is it? The time's now. And how do we reinvent and pretend that every guest sitting in our chair, it's the first time ever? And you know what? It could be Mary in my chair. I tell you what, I was just at a learning seminar this weekend, and it was so powerful. And it said sometimes we tend to put our guests in a box, and I want to take it out and I want to learn more about you and go through that consultation process. And we'll touch on it again. So Sean, thank you for that. Reinvention is so uncool. Reinventing the same people at the same time. Lindsay.
Well, I have one big thing, and I love, you've always said this, is nothing gets done until something is sold. And I love that. And I really want to slow down, like you said, and really connect with the audience out there. Is when we say something is sold, we're not talking about a physical thing. We're talking about us and the physical aspects of the environment that you're in, not a physical retail bottle or a service. And I think that goes a long way with the reinvention, is you constantly have to check yourself, check your environment you're working in, because when a guest walks in, that's perception is reality, and nothing gets done until something is sold. That's what keeps the lights on, right? So I think it's important there. And then it's a choice. Are you good with what you have, or are you going to coast? And if you're going to coast, good, but then you can't complain, right? So exactly. I think that's the biggest takeaway.
Awesome. Lindsay, thank you so much. It's just so true. There's nothing happens until something is sold. And as you were talking about in the way of culture with it, and you will take that into a physical presence, is, the guest that's in the chair, that's hair is very porous. If they don't experience the Trinity Color Bond treatment afterwards, their hair is always going to have that. So whose responsibility is it to educate them? And then the guest buys that service and goes, wow, I love you. And then their friend goes, oh my goodness, you had your color how many weeks ago and it still looks so great. And that just gives us an example of the power behind the confidence that an individual has in their culture, in who they are, in their information, and moving on. Well, do you guys feel armed and dangerous enough to jump into the 5 keys in 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so
Certainly.
I promised a 15-minute break, and I'm running 5 after. So we are going to be starting, and there'll be a countdown clock that Dave will put up here for us for 15 minutes. We'll give you a little bit of a break. 15 minutes, we're going to be back, and that's going to be approximately about, I'm not good with math in there, but just before 22:12 Central. 15 minutes from now. Thank you for joining us. Short break. Well, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome, friends.
So, Sean, take you off right now. What was for a highlight for our whole first morning we put together? What's one thing of a highlight for you? Boom.
Oh, that's pressure, Wayne. Really, I think it just goes back to the four core traits to success. I'm so excited about diving into that a little bit deeper and really maximizing that potential within the Surface family and then abroad. So thankful that you brought that back to the forefront for us. So much good stuff. I could go on for hours, but I'll stop right now.
Lindsay.
I really love the self-awareness as well, but the exercise. And so I had filled it out myself, and just that minor goal setting. This is something, Wayne, that you had us do a long time ago, and it's been a while since I've personally done it. And so I really like having personal goals for myself. And I think that's really going to help me personally. And I hope, our audience out there takes time to really use this as a tool for action.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
And
how
about you, Wayne?
Well, the number one thing that I really love, and it came out to the forefront again and being reminded of, is nothing happens until something is sold. And it's a really good example of what you just did here, Lindsay, because by you pulling your sheet out, you're selling someone on the idea of self-development. And all too many times people think that when we're thinking of sales, it's just an item that's being sold. And yes, it is, because nothing happens until something in the item is sold. But the bottom line is, before that, we have to think different, to believe different, to be able to do different. And where we're going to go right now, this also just amazed me. It's 35 years old, our 5 keys. So let's transfer over onto that right now, and away we go. But on the 5 keys of success, the first thing I highlighted, first time I've ever started the program like this, by the way, it's called the potential. We've got all these amazing students out there from all parts of North America watching. Why should you watch? What potential? What are you going to get out of it? Well, let's just break it right down to life. And what you see on the left is a little bit of lemonade math. It's a budget planning sheet. And does anybody out there ever have too much month and not enough money? Just check it. I mean, there's way too much month, not quite enough money left to make that bet. So when we take a look at personal planning, because we love the industry, we love people, we love to cut, color, texture, hopefully treatments, retail, everything. But let's just take a look at this for an example. Savings. I say, please get in the habit of paying yourself first. When you've taken care of all the rest of your budget, part of there should be savings, and 10% of your income should be for long-term savings. If you ever want to see on average how successful a 50-year-old hairdresser is, unfortunately, many times you can't look at a retirement portfolio, but you can look in their closet and in their driveway, because they'll wear their wealth better than anybody else in the world. Yeah, you want to look good, but at the same time, let's make sure we're taking care of our long-term savings. And the next thing I put on there is contingency. Lord forbid, but what if you have to shut down again for a month? How financially secure are you? So 5% of your income, just like you put in there for your vehicle, childcare, telephone, is to put into an account to have a balance equal to 3 to 6 months of funds to pay all your expenses. So the 5 keys of success is a business-based plan to build your business to a level where you've got a consistent 10% of your income is in long-term savings, and 5% of that income is going into your contingency fund. Now, you got to have fun. Once you have that emergency fund set with a balance, a minimum of 3 to 6 months of fund to pay all your expenses in the event you didn't have any income, you continue to grow that in a fund. And then that becomes your vacation fund. That becomes your growth fund to buy a new home where it would be. The other thing that I'll put to the front is being credit card debt free. Because I promise you, it's much easier for you to serve your guests, to serve the world around you, if you're not on a credit card payment plan. And living within one's means is absolutely key. So I will say out there, if you do have anything on a credit card that's carried month to month, get an immediate plan to be able to pay that off. Now, what about my goals in life? At the same time, take a pen, put it on the paper, and going, a year from now, what would I want that fund to pay for? What will it cost? What will be my plan? 3 years from now, what do I want to be able to do? What is its cost, and what will be my plan? And boom, where does the money come from? It's fun to plan this, but where's it going to come from? It comes from how we serve people. And the better job we do at serving, the better the reward can be. So if you need more income when you build your budget, either you need more guests to serve, or you need to provide more services and retail per guest. It's that simple. So the opportunities that we have to serve and raise our income. Let's go back. We saw this once before. Cut, style, color, texture. But if we want to live a better life and provide better service, the wow factor comes from the treatments, wow factor from hair care, to make sure that I'm maximizing my service with every guest. So when we take a look at expectations, and that was another sheet that I emailed you out there. This is the appointment book. And for all of you that came up through the computer age, you may not even know what this looks like because you've only seen it on a computer screen. This was what I began in the world on, my paper appointment book. And you still see a lot of them out there. They work just fine. So if I build my pretend day, what guests do I have? What service do I have? It's the visual. In fact, when Deborah and I were first married, we opened that first salon, and the first time I ever really had payments in my life. Didn't want to lose that 1975 Camaro, and a year later, Nathan was born with that. Now we got another mouth to feed. I would visualize in my mind how many haircuts did I need to do, what services did I need to do to be able to make ends meet. And the instructions are on there, but I'll give you an example here on your expectations. What do you expect out of you? So if I'm going to do 6 haircuts, $50 a haircut, grabbing just round numbers, $300, 2 colors, $250, that's $550 in expected. Keyword there, you guys, expected services. Then what about some special services? Say there's 2 one-shot color additives, 1 color clarity treatment that's done that day, 1 max repair that's done that day, 1 scalp facial. So now that's special services of $90. Wow. Quite a bonus and wow factor. So now services total $640. There's a total of 13 services between the expected and the special. And if I divide that, that equals 2.2 services per guest. Promise you a lot of wow factor happening. So it's 6 guests into the 13 services, 2.2. Now, my retail. So with my retail, let's say 9 units of retail, that's $30 a piece, would be $270. That divided by 6 guests is 1.5 units per guest. Just as an example of where the income can come from. So those are the 2 key factors to track how good of a service provider I am. How am I wowing my guests? Identifying their wows. What are my expectations? Let's think big. So if there's 20 days in a month and I'm averaging my 640 in services, 270 in retail, if I take that over, that's 5,400 in retail a month. That's 12,800 in services. That's $153,600 in serving guests by putting smiles on people's faces. $64,000, 800 in retail. So 153,000, 64,000. Oh my goodness. The most important thing is take a look at that happy face on the bottom there. My reward is coming from making people smile. So the key here is understanding the potential that I have if I'm a Surface Daymaker. Awareness, responsibility, and process from this morning. To become aware of the guest's needs by asking the right questions. To take responsibility to talk about solutions. And to have the process of recommending what they need, and even take it one step farther and write that recommendation down. So when we take a look at the service units per guests, how many guests did you serve in the day, week, and month? How many services did you provide? One service equals the shampoo, cut, blow dry, 2, the color additive, one-shot bond builder, the texture. So when we take a look at our specialty treatments, so this breaks your units down again at how you can wow people. There it is, the appointment book. When you're looking for a better quality of life and more serving guests, look no farther than your appointment book and see how you can add. Let's take a look at that 10 o'clock guest with the color. One-shot bond builder added, followed by a color lock treatment because of the color fadage that they've experienced in the past. The 3 o'clock guest, it was a haircut, and they've had COVID loss issues, so it's an awakened scalp facial treatment with it. So now we're getting the idea of how do I view those appointments and maximize it. The same thing with my retail, units per guest. How many guests do I serve in the day? How many retail items do I wow them with? Opportunities, shampoo, conditioner, the mask treatment, wet styling, dry detailing, hold, the second day products. Oh my goodness. There's the appointment book again. So when we take a look at those exact same guests, there's something unique that pops up here. I want you to note this. Your guest that you've educated on the specialty treatment is the one who's most likely to really care about taking the retail home with them. So the color bonding treatment that you did and the one shot that you added in with the color, they take the Trinity shampoo, conditioner, and protein cream home. The Awakened Scalp Facial, the Elixir shampoo, just as an example. And the last blowout, you know what? The dry oil spray for extra conditioning. So 6 guests purchased 6 items, but let's take a look at this. 6 divided by 6 is 1 per guest on average, but 3 of 6 guests purchased. So here's an opportunity to take a look and see if you have maybe some bad habits you created with a few guests who you didn't connect with in a way to recommend retail when they first came in 1 year, 2 years, 10 years ago. That guest still may not have had the opportunity to purchase their hair care. Now, the new guest, they're purchasing. So how many of your guests are leaving that they haven't been given the opportunity to look their best with? Tremendous awareness. Sean Lindsay, pop back on again, and let's just discuss on that personal finance, 3 opportunities to serve, and the thought process of service and retail per guest. And I see some ink going down fast. Lindsay, you're writing, so I'm going to go to Sean first.
Oh man, Wayne, I just love analyzing this information. And when I wrote down here on my notes, again, now I'm on page 7. Good thing I do have 4 pens here. When you talked about personal budget and you talked about long-term savings, emergency fund, and then building from there, what I really liked there was when you said your goals. What do I want? And what I wrote down then was, how do I plan to get it? And that relates again to our book, right? And whether we're a makeup artist, it doesn't matter who we are in this industry or quite honestly, what industry we're in. how do I plan on achieving it? And then what are my expectations? And I wrote down and circled and underlined, what are my expectations from myself? And it's amazing to me what my expectations of others can be once I set my own personal expectations first, right? What are my actions that will get the results I desire? So that was huge for me.
Awesome. Lindsay.
Well, I'm going to kind of play off of that and really relate this to numbers. And you had said in the savings account in that contingency fund, which sometimes becomes our fun money, that we need to have at least 3 months of bills. So let's say, I just want to make sure this is correct. I'm hearing you correctly. Is that if your monthly bills are $3,000, we definitely recommend to have around $9,000 in that contingency fund.
Absolutely.
So when you look at that, no matter if you're independent, you're a student, or you're in a commission-based salon, I'm going to go to commission first. That's where I came from. You're maybe working on, let's say, a 40% commission, and your salon is charging $25 for that treatment. So we'll relate this to treatments. That means your commission on that $25 treatment is $10, right? So sometimes I think of this as in your shoes as a stylist to go, well, that's not a lot of money. I could do a balayage or I could do hand weft extensions and make a lot more money. But these treatments, these services don't just lead to services, they lead to retail. So that $10 is, think of it as $1 per minute. And at Surface with our treatments, they're all primarily under 10 minutes of time and most 60 seconds now, right? I think we can all afford to put that treatment on our books. So when you think of going back to your savings account and you just relate it to treatments, that's only 300 treatments a year, 25 a month. I think we can all do that. So I just want to say that's why my pen was going, because my math brain was like, oh my gosh.
I'm doing a timeout on here. I want to see if I heard you correctly. You said that after a year, if I'm doing one treatment a day based on that commission structure, that I've got a contingency fund.
You have a start of a start. Yes,
you have
around $3,000.
Yeah, it's a huge start, and everybody starts somewhere. Versus going, I wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda, when. The spot on it is so strong, you guys, and I'm so happy to share the potential of this, because I really want to raise the interest and connection level to the complete 5 keys before we go into it, because that's what it's about. And I'll also share with you where the 5 keys came from. It was 1985. It was the year after I represented Canada at Hair World, and Modern Salon Magazine did an interview with me. Basically, our salon in Saskatoon, we had opened with a staff of 3. Within 1 year, we had 10. Within 2 years, we were a team of 37 at that time. My entire energies was all towards the salon with it. And it wasn't that we colored, we textured better than the people down the street, but we had systems of wowing the guest. The interview, if I could do it again, I'd do it in a heartbeat, was termed The Naturals. It had a front page on it. And what I said was, the hairdressers who are the most successful, they're just the natural givers, because they can be working on a guest. They see somebody coming in their door, and immediately their mindset pops over and goes, oh, there comes Sally Ann. Oh, that new, she's only on the books for a cut. I know it, but I tell you what, there's that color I just saw. There's the treatment following it. Oh, we've got the shampoo, the treatment, the conditioner, the mask afterwards. Oh, it's perfect for her. And when Sally Ann sits in my chair and it's like, man, I know you're only here for a haircut, but if you've got an extra 25 minutes, wow, do we have something for you? And it just, what happens? And where I was wrong was, yes, in my mindset, it was the naturals who did that. You know why I was very much a natural? Because I unnaturally was able to see my dad work all that time. And he sold more butch wax to people with flat tops than you've ever seen in your entire life with that. Because he had something he believed in. It was very focused. And wow. So I inherited that behavior style in my story. And I realized when I sat back and I read that magazine going, you know what, Wayne? in life, you'll only go so far unless you can build a system. And here's the word system in a program too. See, a program has a beginning and an end. Time will make a program obsolete. A system has 5 principles or 3, but the system continually evolves with the time. It was 1988, the very first time that I put the 5 keys down on paper and started coaching it worldwide. But it has evolved continually in the world around us. And I believe it's time right now for people to have their pen in hand. I hope you're on your 5 keys paper that I gave you guys. There it is. And let's move to begin our journey. On the first key for success is to get your chair full. And these are all in a chronological order because nothing happens until you have somebody in your chair. It's as simple as that. Now, I did some shifting here because there was different times that I would have different ways of getting people in my chair, and I've moved to the very front is face to face. I started off by meeting a stranger, community connection, 4-wall marketing, what happens within there to get people talking, and then social media. One of my favorite times is chatting with students, and this spring I will be visiting my friends up in Edmonton again to pop in and say, hey, little 5 key special for our Estelle group up there. But I like to ask students this question: how are you going to get busy? I've asked it worldwide. How are you going to get busy? And a lot of people just in the industry will say, well, word of mouth. You see, that confuses me because you really don't have any guests yet. Who's going to talk about you? So the ability to be able to really meet people face to face is key. This tear from the magazine comes from the 1980s, end of the 80s, and it's about a future visionary of saying, shut down your computer and restart a friendship. John Nesbitt, a futurist, launched a book in 1988. It's called Megatrends. And he predicted at that time people would have their entire life in the palm of their hand, their schedules, their computers, and guess what? We do. But he also said the more that you carry that information in your hand, the more there's going to be a need for personal touch and connection with people. And that's one thing that our business will always have. So I move it to the very front, and I challenge people to meet a stranger, to smile. And we came out of the last few years, that's tough because you don't know whether you should shake a hand. You don't know how close you should get. I say start with a smile. And as the world continues to open up, to meet a stranger is wherever your salon is, and get in the habit. If you're going to beauty college right now, wherever that college is, get people to come in when you're on the floor. Give them your card, give them your brochure, be able to connect with them, to meet that stranger, to let them know the opportunity you have for them. When you work with face-to-face, when they come into the salon, we have to be able to create that WOM fest. Word of mouth. And that's the engagement that really sets people apart. And we take a look at the front windows, and I'll ask as a salon owner, what do your windows say to people? How does it attract them to be able to come in? What type of a WOM fest is that putting forwards? So with that WOM fest, so when you are bringing people in, let me go back to number 1 here, and you connect with somebody, when they're visual of walking in your front door, seeing the outside of your salon, how does it connect? Let me give you some more ideas on connecting. One of the number 1 ways that I built my business behind the chair, we opened those doors of Wayne's House of Style in 1978, was I joined a community group called the JCs. And it was a men's group that we would do different fundraisers and functions to raise money in the community to be able to support everything from new parks to being able to give back. One of the greatest experiences I know Deborah and I ever had is we were the chairs for the Special Olympics regionally that was held in our marketplace, and it was such a rewarding thing. But we got to meet people, and the more I connected within that community, the more we would meet. In Saskatoon, being involved in fashion shows, meeting people, connecting, getting that buzz out there. And then making sure when people come to the salon, they've got that visual to connect. Four-wall marketing, being able to walk into the salon, do they see that you stand for something? So when they walk in, they see the commitment level here that the salon has to Surface, to the specific families of need, the commitment that they have to the holiday. Again, people know that their holiday shopping can be filled at the salon. Got an idea for you. Got your pen handy again? Write this one down. You're going to be talking about the holidays soon, or you're probably talking about the holidays already. How about if you offer to help with their holiday shopping? Sally, I'd love to help you with your holiday shopping. You know, I've even got a pen, paper for you here. If you write down some people you're thinking of, also put a note on what type of hair they have, and I can do a specific recommendation. So now it's becoming specific for their needs. Social media. Oh my goodness, it was hard for me to put this order together because social media now is so important as well, because as soon as you meet that new person, you go and you buy a shirt from somebody. And you know what? You're brave. And you go, you know what? Sam, I really enjoyed meeting you today. Thank you so much for the way that you helped me with my shirt. I know I'm going to love it. And by the way, I'm a stylist at Vision Salon and Spa in town. And here's my business card. Just by our connection today, I'd love to be able to have the opportunity to serve you too. Click. So now I use that face-to-face to connect to the person who just sold me my shirt, my jacket, what it may be, told them the experience with it, love to be able to serve them. Also, I would tell them we pride ourselves in continuous education. We pride ourselves in using products that completely respect the personal health and the earth, and we guarantee a phenomenal experience, just like I had in their store. What do you think they're going to do before they come and see me, though? Yep. They're going to go and hit Instagram. Check out the salon Instagram. They're going to go hit Facebook. And they're going to see, what does that image look like? What does it say for me? So that social media is tremendous. Little hot tip for you. At Surface, we make it very easy. So when you're following our Instagram or our Facebook, you can quite simply go on and do a share from there. Available at, and link your salon to it. So you don't have to create those assets. We've got them for you. And a little later on, Lindsay's going to share with you where we create just a public folder where you can pull those assets from. So now that face-to-face is being supported by the social media. On the other hand, you may have some people that strictly go, boom, straight to social media because of a recommendation, just to check out your credibility. Here's another thing. Letting your social media know about the world of education. Hopefully somebody's taken a couple of screenshots out there that you're going to post. This is in cutting at the Estelle Academy in Edmonton, Alberta. Letting the people know that you're advancing in education. But you can also have a media wall in your salon. Yeah, it's kind of like having Instagram or Facebook, but in real. Is having some photography on that wall of education that you're doing so people see it. Man, what did this make my day when Sean sent it? This is Shelley, one of the sales consultants from the upstate New York marketplace. Look at the certificates of Bosse's College in Birmingham, New York. Letting the world know. Yes, use social media to push that out there, but also walking into the college and seeing that. What kind of a wow factor? People are going to talk. And what do we want? We want that referral. Here's the next thing I ask you to consider. And I just love walking on social media and seeing so many of your great posts and such because you're tagging Surface in it. I want you to think of building your salon Facebook and Instagram guest book. So be sure that when you're taking that before and after picture, when you're doing the color and you're putting your pure color to it, if you're doing the Trinity Color Bond or whatever it may be, make sure you're tagging your guest and tell them that, you know, you bet you their friends are a lot like there and you'd love to see them in the salon, and ask them to tag their friends and family. So what's happening now is you're using that image posting it, but you're asking the guest then to tag it and push it beyond. They become your walking advertisement. When it comes to hard copy advertising, I'm not a big fan of it in the general area of our industry because it's that traditional paper, the radio, the TV, the billboard, and usually we don't have the financial budget to really make an impact. Where I do say exceptions is if you've got the windows of your salon, as you saw, or you saw the back area of a salon that you can have more of a permanent type fixture in billboarding. The first one we had here, and I'm going to bring Sean and Lindsay back for discussion. We'll throw lots of ideas again on getting your chair full and see what the ideas we can share with the people or what caught your attention. Guys, come back on.
Hey, Wayne.
Sean, start with you, man.
Oh man, Wayne, getting our chair full, getting our book full. What I love that you shared is that sometimes we have to reevaluate in terms of the order of importance, so do you say? But change is a constant. We know that now, right? And so we have to reinvent. We have to adjust. We have to go back to our social media and see if it's still sharing the message that we want it to share today. We have to go back to our four-wall marketing, our retail space, our take-home area, our treatment menus. Where are they posted and why? And really ask ourselves, is it time to reinvent? Is it time to change a little bit? And that's what I really want all of us to take away from that segment, amongst other things, of course.
And Sean, with that, we're taking that away. We take a look at what stage we are in our industry. Am I new and just getting going? How aggressive do I have to get out there? I was working with a college in the United States visiting, and one of the young girls, she came up and she was basically, in tears, and she had built the most amazing Facebook page and Instagram page, but she's had no one come and see her. And I said, well, have you introduced yourself to the person you had coffee with? No. Did you introduce yourself to the last restaurant you went to? No. And so she thought that her phone was going to do everything for her with it. So it's evaluating that, I'm a person. I've got real hands. I have a real voice. You have to hear me with that. Lindsay, what do you got for us?
Well, my biggest takeaway is, as a salon owner, besides payroll, your number one highest expense could be marketing. But in the surface world, our marketing is done a lot for salons. So I'm excited to share that later, but getting your chair full really is down to yourself and hitting the streets with your business card. And that's exactly, Wayne, what I was going to say about have you introduced yourself to the barista at the coffee shop. And I worked for a great salon owner when I first started, and I was scared to death to walk downtown Omaha right into all of the businesses, including Embassy Suites, and tell them I did the best bridal upstyle and they should come to me for their wedding hair. And I had never done an updo before. I was just telling the truth in advance, like you said. But having the I really didn't have any, I didn't know what I was doing really. But having the confidence to do that. And I think that's what we're lacking. I think that's what our industry is lacking. I see it. I'm in salons all the time. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head, is your phone isn't going to do it for you. You will do it for yourself. And by just slipping your business card tonight, if you go out to dinner, friends, just slip it in and just tell your waitress or waiter, hey, my card's in the bag and I would love to do your hair. You have great curly hair. That's all you need to say. And then once you get confident saying that, you can then repeat it several times. And then that's how you're going to build your books.
Lindsay is spot on. I vibrate in my chair when I hear people talk like that, as it's about people. And yes, the social helps of it, and the investment too with a salon owner is how can you network with businesses like yours. So if you are, say, in an upscale base and you are very connected with surface and respecting personal health and the earth, is there a health food store? Is there someone in the fashion world that mirrors your values that you can connect with and share signs in each other's businesses? is just keeping those ideas going with like-minded people is so amazing. So number one, get out of your way and let yourself go through and meet a stranger. Let's go see what key number two is all about here, guys. Here's that mindset again. With communicating effectively, it's the confidence and attitude of belief. And we take a look at fixed and growth. See, that fixed mindset believes that intelligence and talent are both fixed at birth. When you were born, baby, that's what you got, and that's it. I'm here to tell you it's not true, because you can have a growth mindset and realize that you can have the intelligence and talent to go up or down. And let's just take it up. As we talked about before in the 4 core traits of highly successful people, these are skills. And excellent social skills is seek first to understand, then to be understood. So you meet that new person in your local coffee shop and you share with them that you pride yourself in great understanding skills to really discover about that person so you can have the perfect look for them. We identify ourselves that there are those 4 levels of listening, and we commit ourselves to really connecting eye to eye as an empathic listener. We understand that if people are going to believe us, only 7% is what they see on the outside. It's the tone of our voice, the energy, our nonverbal communication that's going to connect with them. What kind of mindset do you have? Well, you're sharing the day with us. So obviously, it's a growth mindset. It's one that you want to learn and grow with, and growing these communication skills. I like to share the picture of that iceberg when it comes to mindset. Please be aware that that iceberg, 90% of its power is under the water, the subconscious. Only 10% is above. So the habits in which we live our life are driven 90% without us even thinking. We walk, we talk, we say. So we need to be able to reprogram ourselves sometimes at a higher level of communication. And the example that I use, rather than a lot of just definite words to it, is I share this back from, golly gee, it's about 8 years ago now. And if you've been part of our surface culture, you may have heard me share this story before. But the gentleman that you see sitting in the cafe, Gary, the waiter, with my wife, Deborah, is the most amazing communicator in the world. And if you got your pen in hand, write a couple of keywords. We instantly knew that he passionately cared about us. This gentleman in his early 70s with that white shirt and that crisp black tie and that amazing face. The moment that Deborah and I walked into the restaurant, the first thing that he shared with us was, I'm so honored to be able to have you come and see us today, and I can't wait to be able to serve you. I promise that this is going to be one of the best dinner experiences you've ever had. And this was a nice restaurant in the New York hotel, but more of an average base. And Deborah and I are just, wow, we had a long day at work at a seminar there. We sat down. The first thing he said was, before we get things going, I'll get you a nice fresh glass of water. Mike will be over to pour that for you in just a second. But I want you to know something. When you're looking at the menu, if you see something that's not on there, don't be scared to ask, because we'll do whatever we can to make it perfect for you. And he said, I want you to know also that all of our local produce is all sourced locally, and we pride ourselves in working completely sustainable to the environment. We're like, wow. Now here's something to learn about teamwork. Unfortunately, our water wasn't poured right away. And Gary came right over and he apologized when he saw that happening. He goes, well, I tell you what, we had a couple of our support servers that were ill today, and the gentleman that's serving you is also covering a part of the other restaurant. Didn't throw him under the table. He came and he poured our water. And he said, well, before I tell you about some of the dishes tonight, I do want to share with you, if you enjoy wine, and of course, yes, we do, says that we do have a bottle of 2012 Duckhorn Cabernet that's still left here. This is back a few years ago, so it wasn't as rare as it is now. It became my favorite wine. That he said, I want you to know that that was the perfect year for grapes in Napa for Cab Sav. The heat was a perfect temperature throughout the entire year, and their picking season was perfect for them. If you enjoy your wines, I know you would love it. And if you want, I can hold it aside for you just for a little bit here. But our other wines in the menu are quite good too. I said, you know what? We worked hard today. We're spoiling ourselves. We'll take it. Cool. Well, we'll take the dining experience. Always had a smile. It was amazing. Popped over, and the first thing he said is, even before you order your appetizer, the chef made something special for you. Complimentary. The little appy was just amazing. Wow. What an experience. Well, it was about 2 hours later. Deborah and I are smiling. And yes, it's the only waiter in the world I ever asked to sit down so I could take a picture beside. And he comes, I hope your dining experience has been wonderful. We said, I tell you what, it has been. And he says, well, you've had a great dinner, but we do have the most amazing creme brulee. You may want to share one. Let me share with you about it. Watch the education he provides. Our creme brulee here is very much like it would come from French or Polynesian islands. It's a big dish, very thin, about a 1/4 inch, perfectly caramelized. When you tap the top, it lightly crystallizes through. I went, we'll have 2, please. Are you sure? Absolutely. Now, the experience itself was unbelievable. Let's just check things out. You see, when we went for dinner, wasn't thinking about the budget on it, but we'd have probably shared an appetizer. Oops, let me come back there. We'd have probably shared an appetizer with it. We'd have each had our dinner. We'd have each had a glass of wine. It would have been about, $74. Well, the day ended up with 2 appies, the 2 dinners, the bottle of wine, double dessert, and it turned from a basic expected, here's that word again, expected dinner of $74 to a major wow factor of $228. Unbelievable. Now, let's go one step farther. Before we leave, and we're thanking him so much, he has a business card, and he's on the back of the business card, it says, allow me to serve you again. Gary Bobbier, New York, Las Vegas, La Fournier waiter. Talk about wow factor. So get this. Next day, Deborah and I had dinner at the Bellagio already booked with it. We cancel that reservation because we're going to go back to that restaurant and see Gary again. Couldn't even remember the name of the restaurant. Remembered Gary's name though. That I stayed up most of the night and changed my entire presentation for our education team the next day because it was just such a great example of wow factor that we went back there 6 o'clock because we're usually pretty early eaters, Deborah and I. And they explained to us that Gary didn't start until 8. You're like, oh my goodness. And then Deborah goes, well, we'll wait. We'll go for a walk. Vegas isn't our favorite town, but okay. And he only has 1 table for 2 available at 8. Huh. And I'm one of these guys that always, I'll poke my nose over and take a look at that appointment book. And you know what? It was right. There was 1 table for 2 open at 8 o'clock, and it was a table right by the door of the kitchen. But the rest of the restaurant was over half empty, you guys. Same food, same restaurant. What was the difference? It was Gary who cared enough about us to introduce us to the fine wine, to the dessert, absolutely amazing service, and took us beyond the expected to the wow factor. And the next day was the exact same. And the cool thing was when I went on the stage and was coaching with the team, all of a sudden you saw hands going up. We were in the restaurant. We had Gary. And he was absolutely amazing for his 5 keys to success. His greeting was phenomenal. His discovery process was phenomenal. The way he engaged and educated us on everything we were going to drink and eat was phenomenal. And guess what? He rebooked us. Oh my goodness. So when we take a look at these 5 steps to financial success in our Daymaker, and that's part of our communication. Communicating is being a Daymaker. Ask yourself, how do you welcome your guests? Well, a lot of you used to be huggers. Maybe you're getting back at it again. I'm not sure. Shaking hands, greeting, and connecting. Do you know the word welcome reduces blood pressure by up to 5% upon reading it? Walking into the salon and seeing welcome, greeting that guest with the word welcome, with that huge smile. The discovery process, asking questions like I share here. Just like Gary, when he discovered about us, I would say you discovering about your guest. So your guest is Sally again. Sally, before we talk about your hair, I need to know more about you, the person. When you walk into a room, do you like to turn ahead and be noticed, or do you like to come in a little bit more soft and subtle? And what you'll find that about 20% of the people will say they want to turn ahead, 20% will be soft and subtle, and 60% will say, I never really even thought about it. And that way you can share with them that you can do a look that you can take them both ways with. They can turn ahead or they can damper it down a bit. But they can see that you care about them. The next question is, what do you like best about your hair right now? And the next one is, what do you like least? Then please be brave. 6 weeks later, when they're back in again, ask them, what did you like best last time? What could have been better? And then always practice reflective listening once they've told you. And that begins with, what I've heard you saying is. When it comes to step number 3 in the work, an interactive, relaxing shampoo. Let's say a shampoo is like putting a piece of butter in a warm frying pan. It melts. You can do anything with it you want. And yes, as much as you've all heard that out there, please, I hope you hear it the rest of your lives. You could do that forever. Where are you every morning? But please remember Gary the waiter, who told us about the sustainably harvested ingredients, who told us about the elements of the wine and the perfect growing temperature. Tell them the name of the product you're using. We're using the Trinity shampoo. Its key ingredient is the amaranth protein, which is known as the never fading flower, to help protect your color. Simple. Take the time to understand and share that information. The next thing, being interactive. Here's a big question. A lot of times we take it for granted. Do your guests really know how important their hair is to you? I'm not sure. I would highly recommend that during your first visit, that you share with the guest on their first visit, you want to see how much potential their hair has. Let me share it with you again. You want to see how much potential their hair has. And what you're going to do is a complimentary deep purification treatment and maximum repair with their first visit. And you're building an additional 15 minutes into each new guest's first visit. Now, we'll talk about when and how to raise prices in a bit. And if you're in a process that you're already maxed out, I believe you should be charging $15 more for a new guest for the time that you build that treatment time onto. Why are you doing that? To really connect with them and see how much potential their hair has. And you educate them on what you're using and why. Time for the haircut. How many of you do the thing? You know what that is, don't you? It's when the guest sits in the chair and go, you know that thing you did last time? I need you to do that thing again. So when you're using the special techniques, tell them what you're doing and why, so they understand the dynamics of their color, of their haircut. And that's the same thing with interactive styling, is take the time to take it and put the product into the guest's hands. For example, the new home run that's out there, as everybody's falling in love with, is the Moisture Bond. I'd like you to be able to feel this in your hand itself so you know how to apply it at home. This is the new Basu Moisture Bond. It's going to deliver a beautiful penetrating moisture into the hair and bond to the hair, having immediate shine, moisture, and detangling. And then they put it onto the hair. And then when you set the product down again, always set it on the station with the label facing the guest. When you take a look at that station, keep it organized, keep it focused, and make sure that you always take at least a minute to clean it for every guest of the day to look like it did for the very first guest of your day all the time. Here's the next thing that I learned from my dad. He would pick up his mirror and he would show every single guest their haircut, but only after he cleaned it. After every haircut, Dad would pick up his mirror, mist it with water, wipe it nice and clean, step back, and then it's a you can see. A little hot tip for you in communication. Rather than going, what do you think? Always reaffirm, you can see how by lightly inverting the line, it strengthens the jaw. You can see how by using the moisture bond, the shyness, internal from inside out. And then let's review our experience. Cape is still on the guest, and you explain what we began with at the sink today as we used the shampoo, the conditioner. This is the styling regime that we used for you. And the magical 6 words. The next time you come in, what we're going to do is. And make sure you take the time to write down what you're going to do next time. So you're in that review and confirm, and you're getting ready to totally rebook that next appointment. At the front desk, make sure that your retail is easily accessible for them to pick up and to be able to have let me give you an example. These 2 salons are laid out perfect because at that front desk, I can grab the retail and I can set down everything I've used. And ultimately, what I want to hear is, which one do I need the most? Let me say it again. Which one do I need the most? Because at that time, it allows me to answer, which I know the answer to, being, I'm going to write down their order of importance, and based on your beauty budget, you can take what you would like today, and let's set a goal of 3 visits for you to be in your complete regime. So that would mean after a complete 4 visits, you would have their total system all in place for them. Now, when we take a look at the front desk and rebooking, the rebooking starts happening at the chair, okay? Bottom line, that's where it begins. But we have to make sure that we follow it at the desk. We want to rebook your next appointment today so that you look great always, your style is easy to manage always, and your next time is convenient for you. Now, everybody's got their calendars on their phone these days. They can go ahead and put it in right away and let them know that we'll even follow up with a reminder for them. So what we've done is we've taken a short snapshot right from the front door all the way through the salon, right down to rebooking that guest. And then for the people you love, let them know it. You know, I've really enjoyed having you in as a guest today. Every time I see your name on my book, it makes my day. And here's 3 of my cards to be able to give your friends to come in. And if you wish, for every card that you get back, you can give them a $5 credit towards their retail purchase, and their new guests can have the same type of advantage by bringing you that card. Basically, the process of the 5 keys, and I want to say this again, it begins with everything we've talked about, the mindset of success of a daymaker, but then it's a step-by-step process. And Sean has shared his message of the Surface Daymaker throughout North America with such success. I'm going to ask him to join us right now to share with us what the Surface Daymaker means to him.
Hey, Wayne. How are you?
I'm waiting for you,
So
buddy.
that-
I've been excited to share this.
There I am. There we are. And I just, number one, want to thank you, Wayne, for trusting and allowing me to add, my spin to something that you had put pen to paper so many years ago. And it's just been an absolute honor. And when I think of, the 5 keys to success and the opportunity that I've had to share it across America and Canada, I get super excited because it's the results that when people buy into this way of life, this way of doing things, that the potential that they have is realized, And that to me is, just brings so much joy to watch people be able to really deliver that type of success to their guests. And more importantly, to know that if they engage in this process, they too can have, as you shared, a system, a process that they can go back to repeatedly, making tiny adjustments in that process forever and ever, because it'll always be there for them. And what I love about it is, as we get our book full, as we communicate effectively, as we do great work consistently, as we interact with our guests throughout the service and the styling and finishing, and as you shared, Wayne, getting those guests to come back, the pre-book, the rebook process. What's so exciting really is that it is part of that mindset. And as we've talked about so many times today, mindset is the established set of attitudes that we hold. But more importantly, it's what we do from that established set of attitudes, the behavior styles that we take, the action steps that produce the results that we're looking for. And I'm so excited to be able to share some of those examples as you have been able to experience, as you've taught this method and this understanding, this system across the world. You get to see people's success stories all the time. And I just want to share a couple that have really inspired me to continue to share this message, because that behavior really does lead to those results, right? This was a message that I got from a dear friend, Bobby, and we had done a program within their salon. And this is what she said. She said, check this out. Thank you for the awesome idea. And she's referring to on the wall above their take home, they're reminding their guests, and most importantly, Wayne, they're reminding themselves every single day, right, that this is part of the service that's supposed to come home with us so that we can recreate that look. And that's part of that communicating effectively from the moment the guests walk through the door until they head on their way. And she says here, since your visit, we have made treatment cards and I've been handing them out to all of our guests as soon as they arrive. Thank you for that. Your message is just what we needed. We can't wait to do it more. And then she goes on a little side note and says, oh, and by the way, we also had our largest non-extension service ticket ever at $458. She ends by saying, it has been a great week. And what gets me so excited about this, Wayne, right, is just the opportunity was presented to many, many people. But those who really take advantage of it and put that thought into action, that planning into process, and they experience these unbelievable results. And so I'm just thankful for Bobby, for Bobby's team. And here's the message that I want to share here too, Wayne, is this salon was already extremely successful. But they had this desire to continue to grow and advance, to make those reinventions within their space. And they are growing at an even higher rate now. So that's just one example. Here's another one that I wanted to share, Wayne, and this is really all about the why. And the why, really diving into, okay, what do I do behind the chair for my guests, and how does it start? It starts with the why. Why am I doing this? And I remember this hairdresser specifically sharing that, retail was somebody else's responsibility and that she didn't have time for it. She was extremely busy. And I remember her saying, all right, we'll try this communicating effectively thing that you're talking about. And she shared this message with me on a Tuesday morning, and it said, well, it's just a Monday, but I did interactive styling with each of my 7 guests, and they took home 14 products. And she goes on to say the best part was it never felt like I was pushing them or selling something to them, right? And she said, I just got to keep this up. $390+ in retail for one day is awesome. And that's how she ended that conversation. And I just shared with her that I was very excited that she looked at it from a different perspective, and that communicating effectively or selling happens because you're sharing your passion in the right arena. And so I was very thankful for that. I'd like, I'd like to share with everybody today that, the 5 keys to success means so much to me because it's excellent, Wayne. And it's excellence that we, with this simple process, can repeatedly do over and over again for everybody who we come into contact with in our services. And so I just love to encourage everybody to think about what you do excellent. And can you continue to do that on a regular basis with everybody that you get the opportunity to serve? And so 5 keys to success mean a lot to me, just a tremendous amount. But I just really want to thank you for that opportunity to be able to share and to continue to share this message with all who would invite me into their space. Thank you very much, Wayne.
Sean, thank you so much. That was so powerful. And that sign on this, take me home. And you're right. Success isn't something you do. It's a habit. Lindsay, how about if you share with us the Daymaker, what have you seen it mean to others and what does it mean to you?
Well, it's funny with the Allure Beauty Bar, Sean, because as soon as you did that class, I noticed my side seeing sales, how fast they were growing. And I remember thinking, gosh, there's something going on at Allure. So thank you for sharing their story because it is working and it has continued to work. And that's the one thing that I've really means the most to me. It's a great system that works, that continues to keep on giving. And as us, either where you're an independent contractor, or you're with a big team, it's something that's usable for everybody. And I want to go back to the bowl, the shampoo bowl, the magical throne, right? Is that 70% of people won't come back to you if you don't do a great job at the bowl. And that really, that comes down to just having that great consultation, right? Doing great work consistently. So I know if I'm going to go back to my hairdresser, I'm always going to get that amazing treatment and that scalp massage. And it just becomes that expectation of the guest. And if you can do great work consistently, you're going to tell other people. And that is a way to get your chair full. So in a nutshell, what I really enjoy is that it's a 360 system that helps in every angle for the salon and the stylist. How about you, Wayne?
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. And I've got a challenge for everybody out there. I challenge you to take your business card and on the back of your business card, write, I am a Daymaker. And I want you to keep that in front of you at your bathroom sink in the morning, on your car on the way to work. Make sure you even got one of those and put it in your brush drawer when you open it up. And just remind yourself what you need to do right, how you got to smile, how you got to connect, and that Daymaker energy. And you get your chair full, you communicate effectively, which is, I am a Daymaker. And then number 3, let's go to it. You got to walk the talk. You got to do great work continually. So let's take a look now about doing great work continually and how do we educate ourselves on that. So with Surface, we put the education at your fingertips, whether it's digitally, our digital university. We've got our online certifications. And that digital form, and I will be emailing it out, most of you have it already, but those are all live hyperlinks to training videos. So now when I've got that guest in the chair, I got to do the work, I can do it. And then my live and virtual, and I want to make sure you understand this. What live virtual is there's a real live person on a camera somewhere else that is presenting to you, someone in a chat room answering questions as you're watching. So we've got that right at your fingertips. And on one of the pages that I printed for you, you will actually see the 2 QR codes. And the one QR code is to the Surface digital information, which lives on Vimeo, over 300 training videos. But the other one is our live virtual that shows you the upcoming education. So when we're grasping this, the live part, I'm so excited to have all the offerings for the salon. It's a matter of building that education plan. And that's a key word too, is what that plan looks like. Thought number 1, you have a new team member that comes into your salon. We have an actual learning guide that you can go through step-by-step learning and then become certified right there, to make sure that they've got that at their fingertips. Then the virtual classroom, this is all the first half of next year already. It's all there waiting for you. Do I want to learn more about Awaken? Is it want to learn more about Pure Color? Is it more of an overall Naturally Surface? Many times people will say, oh, we do tons of education. I always grin. Let me see your plan. Well, really don't have a plan. Like if you lifted up your phone and you showed me, do you have education times blocked into it? And I highly recommend that you build that complete support education base. And to do great work continually, and I'm doing my little timeout here on this one just for a second, system-based. I had been very successful as a stylist, but as my business grew, I realized that if I was going to master my craft, I needed a system. Cutting. There's 5 core haircuts. Some of you are going to cut with me this afternoon later on. I'm very excited about that. But I want to be able to replicate my look. How many times has a guest ever sat down in a stylist's chair and said, you know what, that last haircut you did was absolutely perfect. That's exactly what I want again. And the stylist's heart pounds with fear because they can't even remember who that individual is. Well, in raising the bar, when I take a look at a guest card, if it has one of the names of the core haircuts or an exaggeration on it into a trend, it gives me confidence to know that I have a system that I can duplicate that work with. Doing great work continually means that I have to be able to be brave and say, you know what, I'm not a free-form stylist. I can create anything and personalize it for you because I have a core system that I actually grow from. To be able to have that fundamental system, and I say there's only 5 haircuts in the world. Long one length, long layers, horizontal line, inverted line, and short layers. At Surface, we add marketing to that and give them very sellable names. The Edge, Freedom, Windswept, Front and Center, and the Crop. The other thing that's very key that we've launched in the last 2 years is our Surface Insider program. And the Insider program comes without a commitment to becoming an actual educator, but it comes with the passion to want to know much more about Surface. So for example, on November 28th from 10 to 11:30, they learn Naturally Surface. From 12 to 1:30, the treatments. 2 to 2:30, Intro to Pure Color. And 4 to 5, more about the Daymaker and social media maximizing. These individuals are kept connected on a monthly basis. They have access to advanced education with it to really become the insider and support within individual salons. And if you want to know more, you can email education@surfacehair.com or talk to your salon growth manager. Doing great work continually is much more than just with your hands as a stylist. It's about business. And the business expertise, there's nobody finer to share that with you than Lindsay Curtis. Lindsay, I'm going to put this into your hands to share with them about the business commitment in planning.
All right. So doing great work consistently is the plan. And what I'm going to share with you is our salon planner and some ideas on how to really start strong next year. So when you look inside of our salon planner, there are 3 key areas to be aware of. Number 1 is our new launches, what's coming. That's always exciting, right? And then what is our feature promotion? What's that focus that we're going to have in the salon? Whether that's scalp facials with Awaken for hair loss season, to frizzy season with curls, to beautiful wedding hair with blowout. And then, of course, our other promotions. We want to make sure that you have everything at your fingertips and you're well aware of what all things are happening at Surface via promotions so you can build a great plan. So we won't go through step by step today. Just want to point out some key areas on that snapshot. So when we look at some new launches that are coming, we have the Awaken Scalp Detox. I can't wait to share with you here in a minute. That's going to be launching in February to our Curls Cleansing Cream and Curls Oil Gel March and April launch. And you guys, it smells absolutely fantastic. I just got some samples in the mail yesterday and I had to try it. It's wonderful. Works perfectly. And then I've gotten to play with our new pearlescent toners. That's coming in May and June. And I have to tell you, the best level 10s for color retention for toning on the planet. So be on the lookout for more information. Now, what do you do with this? How do you get started? And how do you put it into action? So what you see on the screen is called a salon roadmap. And there's 4 quadrants with a purpose. So the first quadrant is service. The second is retail. The third is stylist development. And the fourth is business development. And with the salon planner, how can you fill in those quadrants to help build the salon? So here's a great example. Now this is maximizing it. And this is actually a screenshot from the planner. So this isn't something you would take and put everything on, right? But these are all of the potential options from services. Example, we know that our number one focus for retail is going to be for scalp therapy. So Awaken. So why not build in those scalp facials to your services in January and February? Also, we know we have a few new stylists in the salon, or maybe you've already taken the certification online. It's okay to take it again. Did you know you could take it twice? So you may relearn something you didn't know or learn it for the first time. So plug that in on your roadmap. And then like Wayne said, for the business development section, that is where you can pre-schedule. Now, I know many of you are out there watching with your teams. What if you incorporated some of these virtual classes that are happening live inside of your staff meetings? So you can build your staff meetings around these and watch it together. We had a sales consultant, Delta, and a salon in Norfolk, Mirage Salon and Spa, that incorporated this last year for their stylists. So Jamie and Delta brought in pizza and did a staff meeting in the back. And I thought that was brilliant. And you guys, watching them grow this year has been fantastic. So utilize it to your advantage. Now, drum roll, please. I can hear you all drumming out there. This is so exciting. Yes, I can hear it. The Awaken Scalp Detox, our new innovation that's going to exfoliate and rejuvenate your scalps like never before. This is a scalp detoxifying treatment. And what's really neat, what you can't see on the screen, is there tiny charcoal granules inside of the detox that will actually help to detoxify and pull out, adsorb things that don't belong. It's light, gentle exfoliation that really cleanses the scalp, and it's for all hair types. Now, key point, if you're taking notes, this does not need to be used just with Awaken. This can be used in your curl regime, your Basu regime, Trinity blowout, etc. So this is a great product. It's universal. It's going to be a great treatment on the back bar. So more to come on that. Now, to start to pre-think of how you're going to set up that visual engagement, that marketing we were sharing, and that 4-wall marketing, is that you're going to see at the end here that we have a place where you can download all of this signage. These images are to inspire you for either a crate stack. What if you went to Home Depot and bought two crates? They're $13 each on average, and stacked them. And that could be a moldable display that you put as like a nesting table. You could do a larger nesting table if you have a larger space. Really use those visual assets to create a really pretty visual engagement in a larger way with All Awaken. But what if you don't have room? What if you're in a suite or you just have a small station to make a display on? Well, what about a POM? A POM is the product of the month. That's what it's short for. So, if you are a stylist out there or a student or a smaller salon, just create something on your station. So that new product is always exciting. Have your shelf talker, have your visual signage, and put 3 of them there plus a tester. And like Sean said, that interactive styling for Allure went really, really far, and with Amanda J went really, really far. That's to create that visual engagement and interactive styling with the guest. You could also create a 4-wall focus display. So it could be your 4-shelf, 2-shelf display, and keep it extremely focused. 1 shelf just for the box set. That's your scalp therapy, and then 1 just for the new product launch. So we hope that these inspire you to do some really cool visual engagement in your display. Now, where to find it? We have a digital toolbox right on surfacehair.com. We have a great new landing page. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage you guys run and check it out right after the call. We're going to send you this link, and it's very easy to access. Once that landing page comes on, you're going to see things like salon game plans you can download, education events. You can actually register for our education events now right on our website. So that's pretty cool. And then also salon signs. So please make sure to check that out. And when you're looking at how are you going to maintain this exciting momentum from today, is I encourage you and your team, this is an important one, to join us on December 12th from 10 until 11 Central Time for our Advocate Watch Party. Now, some of you may be saying, I don't know what an advocate is. Some of you have been on an advocate before. Well, an advocate program is for you to learn in depth on the next 2 months promotional cycle and education and services that go along with it. So maybe it's you and your whole team for a staff meeting. Maybe it's you as a salon owner and a key stylist or your Surface insider. Just make sure to pre-register and join us. Now, what if you can't join, right? You can always watch the replay, but we encourage you to please join it. That way we can send you the link and you can watch it. Also, it's right on Vimeo.com. So a third way is just to hop on Vimeo.com. You can see the address right here and you can log right into it. And then step 2, once you log into it and decide and you watch it, what's going to be best for your salon, you can download those assets on surfacehair.com. So it's really, really simple to do. And I'm going to take a moment here because I know many of you guys are watching from your computers. This is the actual QR code. So I'll give you a minute to scan. This is a direct QR code if you want to take out your phones. Then you can save that link right now so you can get registered. For December 12th, what we'll be reviewing is in-depth on the Awaken Detox, Awaken Planning, Reproduct Knowledge on Awaken, some extra services you can offer behind the chair this winter season. All right, I know you all have it scanned. Perfect. Well, I am most excited about, I'm excited about all the things next year, but I'm really excited about our global forum. So get ready, fans. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to Disney World in Orlando, October 21st through the 23rd. Education, innovation, and inspiration. Of course, it's a 3-day show. We have live hands-on. It's going to be super cool. Now, get ready to take a screenshot of this. Wayne's going to be emailing it after the call today. I won't go through too many details here for time purposes, but I do want to reiterate it's a 3-day show. You have 2 days. Friday is going to be our fun welcome reception, and then Saturday is going to be the show. Sunday's the show, and then Monday you have a hands-on option where you can choose up to 6 different up 2 workshops where there's 6 different workshops happening from haircutting to color to business and inspiration. We're going to be doing this at the Hilton Buena Vista. You'll see the room rates below. We have early bird pricing. So we're going to release this pricing January 1st. The tickets go on sale all the way up till April 30th, where you can pre-register for a great price at $249. You can also use Surface reward points. Workshops are $129 USD. This is all USD pricing, by the way, or 10,000 points. And then, of course, after May 1st, we'll have after show pricing. So be on the lookout. I want to see you there. It's going to be super fun. And then some exciting news and updates coming soon on our Surface Elite program. Now, I know we're talking to a broad audience out there, so I want you to think of this no matter if you're a new stylist or a student going into a Surface salon, or you're an existing salon with Surface, is during COVID, we launched our Surface Elite program. And the Surface Elite program is in addition to quarterly rewards, and this is a great program to experience innovation before they launch. So with those sampling, experience those promotional merch kits that show up on your doorstep quarterly, additional literature, back bar support, and of course, complimentary tickets to Global Forum. If you have any questions on the Surface Elite program, we encourage you to reach out to your salon growth manager for more information so we can figure a plan to get you to those great reward levels. So Wayne and Sean, I'm going to bring you both back on the screen. What did you both learn the most about the Salon Planner and key takeaways? And Sean, we'll start with you.
Yes. I'm glad you picked me first, Lindsay. Here's why. I just can't tell you how much I love, and Wayne's going to be like, oh, Sean, I can't tell you how much I love the quadrant planning that you have set up for us. And this is why. Often we get in these planning modes and we're like, okay, well, I need to do this. And what about this over here? And oh, you know what? We got that coming up over here. And sometimes we have all these great ideas and we start writing notes and then they get lost, like the whole notebook or the page or whatever. This quadrant-based planning is so nice because it's structured in terms of what are we going to do from a service standpoint that will really affect our guests and our stylists. Then how do we support that with our retail? Well, we probably have to have some education for our stylists in order to do that most effectively and to launch it in the right manner. And then how does that serve from the business development standpoint? Do we have any incentives set up? How will this help us from a profitability standpoint? And like you said, it does not matter. Hear me loud and clear, friends. It does not matter if you are one stylist with one chair or 1,000 million chairs in a giant warehouse. This process, as Wayne has shared from the moment we got on today, it's a process that works consistently and continually. And so that's what I really loved.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Lindsay. One word. When you're thinking about number 3, is business as well as training personal skills. I mean, it's just so important to do great work all the time. You have to do also great business work. Solana 1, Solana 51. Lindsay, Sean, thank you so much. We're ready for key number 4. We've touched on it already, but I just got some hot tips for you. Here we go. Bam. Now, when it comes to looking great at home, here's some discovery questions. We got to keep them looking great at home. How do you describe the condition of your hair? What a question. How do you feel your hair holds or retains color? How do you feel your hair holds its style? See, all those questions lead to dialogue. Now, is it color care, moisture, longer lasting blowout, brighter blondes, curls, healthy scalp? Boom, there you've got the solution. And we can see that being a better business person, that advocate program that Lindsay was sharing with you, oh my goodness, we're always providing that information. When you're asking the right question, you can have confidence in having the right solution. The next place in looking great at home, and Lindsay provided so many great pictures of nesting tables so that your visuals in the salon support your message. And then, yes, social awareness, making sure that you're using our assets, which Lindsay gave you the address to support that. And wow, what about a new guest returning? We think about bringing all those people in. If a new guest comes and sits in your chair and does not take a retail product home, on average, there's a 3% chance they come back. If they purchase one product, that means you've cared enough to identify a need and built a rapport with them. A 30% return ratio. 2 products, 60%. 3 products, 90%. And I'll make this real relative. Think about this. What if every single person who ever sat in your chair came back to your chair? Oh, wow. Okay, your little voice goes, there's a few you didn't want. But I tell you what, I know you loved a lot of them. Where did they go and what could have you done to lock them in? And looking great at home is an absolute key for that. Now, in takeaways from Gary, I'm going to move beyond that right now because I'm going to keep the group together for the next one here, is because that's your wow retention. In keeping people coming back. A guest book, 6 days a week, 30 guests in a week. If I've got that 5-week rebooking, I've got 150 guests for a full book. 6 guests a day. That's an average day with the color world we're doing right now. Many people did have a 5 to a 6 week rotation base pre-COVID. When people stretch their services so long for months, now we're seeing a lot of people that are at that 7-week average, which means we need to get new people in the chair, but we need to reinvent and represent to them the need to rebook again. Just raising that awareness for you out there, guys. Because it's the demand of your services that allow you to raise your prices. There's two things that I based this philosophy on for the last 35 years. The demand of your services determine your prices. So first of all, we track your hours of productivity, of potential. So if I've got 8 hours on the day that I'm going to sell, but I'm only booked really 4 hours, that's a 50% productivity ratio. My goal to tell me there's enough demand on my services is 80% productivity, and 80% of those guests need to be asking specifically for me. And if I can maintain that for 3 months, it's time to be able to raise my prices. Here's a visual example of that. So when I take a look at that book, there's my potential. There's no names there yet. Potential hours. Then I popped in some real hours of productivity and in time. So there's 4 real hours of productivity. That's 50%. Now, how could I increase that? What I could do is if I had treatments or if I had additional services there, I could fill more time with that. When calculating productivity too, if somebody is a no-show, I can't put that time back and away from my books. That just means they didn't quite love me enough to be able to show up with that. Again, 80% productivity with 80% request is enough demand on your services. If you're at a $50 haircut price or lower, I say you can do by 10%. If it's above 50, 5%. And please let your people know 6 weeks out. A sign example for a station. Congratulations, Jane. Due to the demand of Jane's services, her prices will be increasing blank as of. We appreciate you being our guest, and on your next visit, you'll receive a complimentary identify one of the treatments. It's a nice way to give them that thank you at that time. So there's 2 things we talked about. We talked about making sure your guests look great at home. We talked about raising your prices. And I know we're only going to take another 3 minutes from our people here and get them ready for their cutting afterwards. But if we're going to put a one comment on this, Lindsay and Sean, what would it be on raising your prices?
Sean, you can go first there.
Wayne, to me, it really is, do you want a better work-life balance? Focus on your real productivity. When you are behind the chair, how are you creating an experience that people want to come back to? Creating that real productivity levels and increasing them dynamically will make a massive difference in your work-life balance.
Awesome. Lindsay?
I think for me, it's just recognizing that you need to do a price increase because it's been a while, and to recognize even where you're at, because many of us think we're at the top. We're not at the top. You're never at the top. So how can you recognize that and be confident in your skill set to raise your prices that extra $10, $20, $30? So just take a chance on yourself. You can do it.
The other thing of hours of productivity will help you with everybody out there is identifying the days where you're the most productive. And you'd be surprised. You'll find that many of you might decide to start taking Saturdays off, as many top hairdressers have, because it's not your biggest dollar day. So just that awareness is absolutely key. Now, let's come back onto our screen here just for a second. Give me my slides back. From our 5 keys of success, I want our audience to be able to identify in each one of those what action they're going to take on them. The next thing that I'd like you to do in looking at your story, there's 5 things to maximize what we've shared today. To be ready, to be set, to grow. Take your pen and identify your vision. What do you want your relationships, career, development, finance, well-being, what do you want it to really look like in the hours of a day? Honest reality, where are you right now? What's your strategy to grow? How are you going to connect with our advocate program to be your supporting structure for growth? And then how are you going to plan your education to really grow? Ink it, don't think it. And when you build that plan on the hours in a day and how you're going to maximize that Surface 5 keys to success, quite simply put that pen on the paper too and say, there's some things I will no longer do without. And to take one action in each of the areas that we shared with you today. Please identify that you are a miracle. You are 1 in 400 trillion. Appreciate what you've accomplished and then have high expectations for where you're going. Lindsay and Sean, come back and join me here. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank each of you for what you've shared today and the passion that you share every day as Surface is committed to Salon First. Lindsay, any words you want to share with the people?
Take action. There's a lot that you learned today. So go right back to your self-awareness first and really identify that key number 1 point, and then really look at how you can finish this year strong. Remember, you have 47 days to finish strong, and you have 47 years to your next chapter. And I can't wait to see your success. Sean, how about you?
I just love to say, ready, set, grow. Are you, each and every one of you, realizing your potential? And I just ask you to take all this information, filter it down, and take action on those steps that will help you get closer and closer to your full potential. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Lindsay. It has been an amazing experience for me with 8 pages of notes, and I can't wait to put them to work.
Thanks, guys. You keep your feet on the ground and reach for the stars. And please know that Surface is always here to be a step in your ladder as we're ready, set, grow. Thank you all very much for joining us today. And some of you, I'm going to see you cutting hair in just a little bit. Lindsay, Sean, thank you all very much. May God bless. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, friends.